snow fell cold on a bitter night. John was gone for the morning light. They blame Karen, but it don't sit right. Too many secrets hid from sight. Oh, the badge runs deep, the law runs thin. They stack the deck, but truth won't bend. The judge looks away, the truth gets drowned. Ain't no justice in Canton Town. Proctor's story shifts and sways. Cameras vanish, records fade. The Alberts toast while the doubts grow strong. The folks still fight, won't be long. Oh, the badge runs deep, the law runs thin. They stack the deck, but truth won't bend. The judge looks away, the truth gets drowned. Ain't no justice in Canton Town. Proctor's story shifts and sways. Cameras vanish, records fade. The Alberts toast while the doubts grow strong. The folks still fight, won't be long. Oh, the badge runs deep, the law runs thin. They stack the deck, but truth won't bend. The judge looks away, the truth gets drowned. Ain't no justice in Canton Town.
Hey.
Who's gonna talk?
Welcome,
How we
whoever
doing
you
it,
are,
everybody?
wherever you are.
Yeah, however Baker says it.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's not here yet, so we decided to start without him.
Blacker.
R.I.P. Baker's channel.
He gone. Baker is busy, y'all. He will join us as soon as he can.
Yep.
We knew he was going to be late. We just didn't want to tell you guys he was going to be late. So surprise.
Yeah, because we thought like he would, because he was thinking he'd be done a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Than he told us. We were like, yeah, let's just do it.
Things happen.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Besides, we're on a sidebar right now, so it's not like we're missing, anything but the fan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not too exciting.
let's see where we are.
Why is your stuff all red?
Mine?
Ooh.
Yeah. What's going on there?
I don't know. I think I'm still on Christmas colors.
How'd you do that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I want 4th of July
What?
colors.
There's Christmas colors?
I don't
That
know
is
what you're
cool.
talking about.
I think we
You
just
are
have a hear
unmuted.
yous.
Ooh.
Perfect timing, huh?
Okay, is it Antarctica in there? Because the woman who does the little mouth thing dresses like it is Siberia, and then Bev's always taking off the AC.
All right, so I was told, Council,
Go
Mr.
right
Lacey,
to
you wanted to
sidebar,
see
so.
me? Okay.
Oh, another
Do you want to
sidebar?
come to sidebar?
Start at sidebar and then
Sure.
we'll go from there.
Okay.
Sidebar.
And then we'll go to the real bar. Where are we going
Yeah.
with this?
And that's where we are. We're live.
Woohoo.
All right, well,
Didn't even
Didn't
matter
miss
that
much.
Baker's late.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we didn't want you guys to be lonely.
Yeah,
True.
there's a lot of people hanging out in here. Like, where are you guys? I'm like, yeah.
And I'm not a fast enough typer to type, we will be on when we're on as soon as possible.
Right.
Kelly asked when we leave for Dollywood very soon. Oh, we're going next week. Yeah, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday is Dollywood.
Yes.
first meeting.
So how far
Thursday.
is Dollywood from you, Valhalla?
It's a little over an hour drive.
Oh.
But everything's at least like a half-hour drive, right? So it's not
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, you live in the middle of nowhere, yeah.
yeah.
I'd love to go to the waterfall right now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
9:23, whatever.
Like, do I have to chest bump guys while I'm there? Because I feel like that or just angry women yelling loudly at me. I can get that at a family reunion. I don't need, to go all the way to Massachusetts.
Where's Bald Paul? Oh, there he is.
Oh, he's there. He's in the
Yeah,
back.
but there's a Paul look-alike next to Peg that I find intriguing.
There's like 4
And then-
bald guys.
There's so many bald people, yeah.
And
They're
then a
all bald.
guy who looked like he wandered in here because he was looking for a real estate seminar.
What?
Well, look, there's the guy in the front row who's not bald, who has a full head of hair, who's looking around this courtroom like, should I really be here?
Yeah, am I in the
Definitely
right
looks
place?
He definitely looks like he would sell you a used car.
He definitely looks like he's there at the Cutco annual like top seller, banquet.
Thank you, Brandon. It's like my grandmother used to say, may she rest in peace. If you're not early, you're happy. Now go get the switch and all. What is that?
It's
I
a
don't
beat.
know.
Beat you straight. Gotcha.
Ah,
Oh, I got it now. Thanks, Jamie.
Oh,
More.
I have it on the big screen, so
Oh,
but yeah.
I was like, square box? We're gonna ship you to Abu Dhabi like normal?
oh my gosh, I forgot about that. What is that, Mother Goose and Grimm? Or no, Garfield.
Garfield and Friends.
Yeah. Mother Goose and Grimm came on after that on Saturday mornings.
Yeah. And I always thought Abu Dhabi was a made up place. Imagine my shock when I'm an adult and someone said, like, yes, here reporting from Abu Dhabi. And I was like, where's normal?
Right.
We loved that show.
That poor cat. I'm not reading that, but thank you for the super chat.
The problem is that Mo might have read a couple of those during the intervening times when she forgot the tried and true rule of always reading all text first.
Well, Lefty, you got to be a little more slick than that.
I don't believe he was on the witness list, Lefty.
But the Janus family has been represented greatly.
I am not a poor sport.
Hey, she got it last time, and that was enough for any.
I think the joke only
the rest
works
of your life.
once.
You can't
Yeah.
get mad at her for not falling for the joke. You just got to make a better joke. You got to
Yeah.
be slicker. Lefty, you know this. You know
I think
this.
it's way past the anniversary.
Well,
I know
Dixie was a little like that was. I didn't even
Dixie
get that
was
one.
little.
Dixie was little. No, but that was good because reading it, I didn't really get it, and then it got read out loud, and I was like, oh wait, that's something. So
He's lined up before Mike takes the stand. Yep.
I didn't know Proctor changed his name, but it does fit.
yeah,
He does look like a bellend. So
It looks like the media pool is a little empty today.
well, it's a triple Monday, y'all. Like, I went out early this morning to buy Monster Energy drinks and Mike and Ike's because I realized that after 5 days almost of not having to deal with these people, coming back was going to be a rough one.
I only hit snooze once today, I think. Maybe twice. It wasn't bad.
once or twice. Baker will be here, Jessica. He's got court, so he's running a little behind.
Yeah, at a weird time.
Yeah.
Like, isn't it like 5 o'clock there or something.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
is it 6 hours
And
ahead
isn't
of
it
us?
like a socialist country? Don't the unions require they stop working around bev times?
It's like 2:30 or 3:30
Oh, yeah.
right now.
Oh,
I did the
right.
math wrong.
Well,
Us? Math? What?
that was like the weirdest thing about being over there because I'm so used to like, like when I talk to somebody like back home, like my sister or something, and she's just waking up and we're like halfway done with the day. I'm like, ah, no wonder he gets.
3:30.
He's so tired, and we're like ready. We're still not, we're ready to go still.
That's Jamie Cinderella.
Yeah, it's got to be Jamie.
What?
Your birds are singing.
Oh yeah, my windows are open. It's gonna be like 70 today, so
I know it's
like
supposed to be
What?
nice.
Yeah, it's going to be nice here too, I think. It's already 62, so that's pretty good.
It's been like wet and just kind of gross the last few days.
Yeah,
It
and
hasn't
it's
rained
looking
the whole time, but it's been like misty and everything's just wet and you can't sit down. or
gross.
anything.
yeah.
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 It was like that for a couple weeks last week. That's why I'm so excited about this weather. I couldn't wait to put my windows open.
Well, like the
But
one
if it's
day
bothering
was,
anybody, let me know because I'll shut the one right by me.
I don't know, it was nice to have it be cooler temperatures during graduation because you try to put the entire population of a small hill jack town into one high school auditorium. There are a
But that smells
lot of
good.
people. You know, we dusted off our formal Daisy Dukes and halter tops, and we went on to support our children.
That a girl.
Good for you.
Julie.
Except for the one a-hole behind me with an air horn. Like, for serious?
Why?
Well, because they were so happy their kid graduated. I'm happy my kid graduated, but I can do it without temporary deafness. Or I could
Somebody
before
just-
Friday.
Shocked you with an air horn?
Well, no, they put it off like right behind me. They were standing very, very much right behind me and just let it off. And I was like, I do the full body startle because, and Mr. Mo was like, what? And I'm like,
The full body startle.
haven't you ever seen a new baby? Like when they startle and their limbs just, yeah. So I do that. And Mr. Mo's like, all those times you think you'll be a secret agent, this is the reason you won't be. And I was like, look, I never said beyond, Marvel Universe would I be a superhero.
Yeah, I might have.
Everything startles me too.
Christina Rex just walked in casually late.
Well,
She had to get her hair did. Look at the volume she's got. That is a Vidal Sassoon commercial right there. That is Pantene Pro V. Like,
I'm sorry, my blowout took too long.
Farrah Fawcett eats your heart out.
well, I mean, considering if you said that to a guy, they wouldn't know it was with your hair, and they'd be very, very happy. They'd be like, for an hour? I'd be
I
like,
know.
yep.
All the guys in chat just go like, "What's a blowout? Can I hear more about this?"
Yeah.
Oh, the guys know what a blowout is. I promise.
It's not what you think it is.
It's after you eat White Castle.
It's not what you think it is.
Oh my gosh. So
Who's on the witness
Baker.
stand? It's gotta be.
I'm pretty sure it's Welcher, and that's all we got. We're
Yeah,
gonna
because
do-
didn't we finish up with, unless they're going to bring, lab attendant number XQV to bring up something about the tail light, I think that they're really done.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just Welcher's left. The guy.
unless they're smart,
Although,
and
you
they bring in
guys,
somebody else.
Unless all of a sudden we're gonna get Proctor today, which I highly doubt that.
I doubt it.
you guys, I was able to find a headband for the neurosurgeon.
What?
Nice. Are those Yoda?
He was, yes, he looks like Yoda, goat plate or yogurt from Spaceballs, but
Yeah.
they didn't sell yogurt, headgear. So Mr. Mo
might
is
have.
like, Mr.
Remember
Mo
the
is like,
merch
why do
shop?
you need these? And I was like, because the doctor looked like Yoda. And he was like, I'll allow it. They're $3. A cheap date.
Ew.
They might have sold yogurt ears. Do you remember the merch scene where they like pull back the?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they might have been in there. I'd have to look.
See,
again.
if I win the lottery, there are going to be signs because I will have my own like authentic on set, Spaceballs lunchbox with thermos
That movie was
signed
so
by
good.
Mel Brooks.
Such
And
a-
the giant pick that they had to go through the desert.
They're combing the desert, y'all.
And they're
Hey,
like, what do we do with the
sure.
pick?
Ew.
Best movie ever. Changed my mind.
Yeah, right?
Do not make
I
a
love that
second
one.
one unless Mel Brooks is exclusively involved.
In charge.
In charge. Like Charles.
Charles in charge.
I still love that show.
I know. The theme song is my favorite.
Charles in charge of our days and our nights.
And our night. Yep.
Yeah, not the most, consensual song ever, but still one that's catchy and you can hum along to.
And all the sweaters. Oh, I love the sweaters.
So, should we start rumors? Like, oh my gosh, do you think she'll
Ooh,
take
you got a good one?
plea?
Yeah.
Look at how many people on Karen's side. Everybody's turned. Look.
I know.
Yeah.
Wasn't that guy in the jacket with the hair? He was there
How
on the other
suspicious.
side last week.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And yes,
Terrible.
that is him. He sucks, and nobody's sitting next to him because he sucks. John
The guy with
DePetro.
the salmon shirt.
Hate that guy.
Oh my god.
Oh, is he the one that did this subtle with his camera to the jury? And he's like,
Yeah.
I was looking at a note. I'm old.
He is
Sure, Jim.
that whole thing with him and Turtle Boy was hilarious to me.
Mm-hmm.
When Turtle Boy saw him like setting up his camera outside and he was sneaking around behind him, he
Oh my
was gonna go
God.
up to him and be like,
So peeping
And
around the
that-
pole.
yeah. And you see him peeping around the pole. But his whole listen, Turtle. And I was like, I love how
Reminded me
that's
of
become a
Drop Dead
thing.
Fred.
Was it better or
Shows up.
worse than the lady from Prancer Size that's like,
Oh, when she pulls
kiss
the
my grits? And she didn't buy like a thing of grits. She put a Post-it of grits over oatmeal. It's like,
Yep.
how? You live in Florida. They have grits. I can assure you. I mean, not that I
got a
eat
kick out
them,
of it
but
because I did find it funny. Because he's like, listen, Turtle.
Listen, Turtle.
listen, Linda.
I'm live. Listen, Turtle. You got to get out of here.
That was the best.
He looks like he's all of 4'9". I mean,
Marissa, we got to find that live that
I know.
happened at so we can see how it looks.
I was just looking. I can't find it.
Dang it.
Maybe if I just Google "listen turtle." It did not.
Oh,
ooh, who's the cute chicken? The green, mint green squirt.
I don't know, but I think we just got flashed.
Outstanding.
yeah, she better
So
be
you see that?
careful.
Well, I mean, would a Britney Spears moment make this trial funner for all involved? Perhaps not me. I have that at home, but I'm sure the male audience would like it. So I'm
Oh
trying,
my god!
ma'am, don't cross your at the
She's
ankles.
getting
We
close,
cross.
y'all.
Ooh, I feel
I
like
know.
we should
She
take this
better be
down.
careful.
We're all getting our channels yeeted because this lady can't keep her legs closed.
Yeah, forget the arm. It's this lady's clam that's going to get us.
Oh my god!
And I've been off for too long.
Val, I love kind of froze there for a second. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a little,
right?
there's a little more clam juice than I expected, huh?
Well, we are near the Cape. Isn't it Cape season now?
That's true. That's true.
Capes.
She should have probably sat a different seat.
Yeah, she'd be like, can I switch seats with you, guy?
Ooh, that's not Erin O'Keefe. That was
I
by
thought it was.
no. She's got shorter hair.
Is she as boobagey? Because those were some honkers. Like, just as out of professional curiosity, I'll check them out.
Oh my God, we have gone off the rails in chat.
I apologize, Baker. As I said, R.I.P. Baker's channel.
To be fair, it's usually Ladies Clam that does us in.
It really is.
That's true.
It's always
That's
about
true.
women, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oops.
Almost entirely.
Ooh, okay, but I want to be called a misogynist too. When do I get my turn to be called a misogynist? Damn it.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, any
All I
day
get
now,
is
people love that
internalized
word.
misogyny. And mine is totally external. I don't like myself, but I dislike other women more.
That's fair.
That's
So it's all externalized misogyny, if you ask me.
I had
Oh
a
my
surprise
gosh, I think
baby
I
born
found
the
it.
other day.
You had what?
I had a surprise baby goat born the other day.
Oh, congrats.
Really?
Yeah, little boy.
You
Yeah.
had no idea?
Well, I did. Chat didn't.
Oh.
Well, I would hope it wouldn't be a
Secret from
shock. I
everybody?
would think they get...
She's a little on the small side, so I was a little nervous how it was going to go, but she
Yeah.
did fine. So,
Aw.
Was it her first baby or...
Mhm.
Oh, that's good. Mommy and baby are good. I mean, it's better than like if I go to the hospital and they send me home with a kid. I mean,
Well,
Isn't that just like a normal Tuesday for you?
yeah, I was
you
gonna
know,
say,
I
don't you
do
have it
I
down
do
now?
get excited every time I go into the hospital and it's not to the maternity ward. I need to meet new people.
They've got your wristband on standby at all times. Like she'll
They're
be
like,
back.
"Hey, Mo." Actually, my doctor told me that on the 5th one. He's like, "I'll see you here in 6 months." I walked in 8 months later and I was like, "Screw you. I made it to 8 months."
That's pretty funny.
Nightbot, I wish I could get rid of you. I wish I had the power.
I'm trying to set up Nightbot,
Power.
and I have gratefully given that to Mr. Mo because it's got commands and computer language and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I just want it to call people funny names. He's like, "Well, what do you want it to do?" And I was like, "I want to tell people how much bitch fire they have in them." He's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Just watch Baker's thing and copy him."
Do it just like Baker, except use my words instead.
Yeah. I was like, he's like, "I'll have to research it." And I was like, "I thought you were like computer Neo. I thought you figured all of this stuff out. That's why I married you."
Computer Neo.
The one.
The one. Though I have to say that agent was actually hotter to me, but I'm a Hugo, is it Hugo Wells or Weaving? What's his name? The actual actor, because he plays Elrond in Agent. What's his face?
Play Elrond, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, I more have a crush on Elrond, if I'm honest.
Agent
But the actor
Smith,
does
I
a good
believe.
job. Hugo Weaving.
Did you find it, Marissa?
I did.
Oh my god.
He
This
says
is,
it like
John, why do you lie every day?
I'm live right now.
Why do you lie every day?
Oh,
You go in there and
listen.
you lie. We read your tweets. You're misrepresenting what's happening there. No, you're lying.
Listen.
You're lying, John. How much are they paying you to lie?
Now, hold on. Listen, Turtle. All right.
If someone could put that I Love
Doing
Turtle
what?
And on top of it,
Clip
You don't
right
like
there.
when people ask questions?
Right now.
You ask Karen Reed
I'm
questions.
live read right now.
But so you're allowed to ask questions, but I'm not.
Yeah, but she's not broadcasting and I am. So
No, I'm
Hey,
broadcasting.
Trooper.
Trooper.
I
What
love it.
exactly is the
Listen,
trooper
Turtle.
supposed to do in that situation? You're like, oh, you can't stand here in public?
Well, he wanted him out of there. He was getting him removed. It's like, he's
This is a
harassing me
wild
while I'm
turtle, and
live.
it's been mean to me.
Yeah, this wild turtle. Did you see him creeping around the little thing?
Yeah, I'm
That
trying.
cracked me up.
I couldn't find like a picture of that one, but
Listen,
that's the best
turtle.
part.
You know,
Terrible.
He is a liar, though. I mean, we see his posts every day. Turtle Boy is
Listen,
right.
turtle.
Listen, turtle.
Yeah. Also, if you're fairly pale, maybe just touch your hair. Your hair is a disaster. Go bald like the rest of Canton.
Yeah.
No, he didn't get arrested again. They just basically, he was like, I'll just leave now or whatever after that. Did you hear that? Like, I think it 6 of his indictments got dropped?
A bunch of his
Yeah.
charges got dropped.
Yeah.
last
including the
week.
ones against cops.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That's what's his name? John DePetro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John DePetro. He's this. He's such a douche.
Yes.
He's the one in the orange right there. if you can see.
Yeah, the salmon.
Yeah, he needs an ascot. I agree with chat.
Oh, we got action,
Ooh,
y'all.
we got Joy
Finally.
coming in.
Oh, I like the green pantsuit. I like
Oh,
that.
god damn it. Oh, sorry. Too early for the D's.
That's cute.
Oh, jeez.
And yellow.
The afternoon is when the D's come out. That's how we like to roll.
Okay. I've composed myself.
A short break while... Where in the hell are they keeping the jury? Like in Rhode Island?
I don't know.
The trek, the Lord of the Rings trek to get the jury every day gets longer.
Never too early for the D. Sorry, Valhalla. I will get you demonetized again yet. Actually, I didn't say anything bad there.
Well, no. I
Nope.
think you were good there.
Technically.
No. Yeah.
It's the afternoon delight.
Always.
Afternoon
Always a
delight.
delight.
I was just so encouraged with all those cloggers. If you've ever seen the music video of the people actually doing Afternoon Delight, it's like the most Midwestern swap meet people you will ever meet in your entire life, clogging around, talking about the most scandalous thing you can do during the day. So if you need to pick me up after all of Hank's, upcoming babbling, I would recommend go watching Afternoon Delight, the music video, because they are clogging, and it is about the most like PG Midwestern like moral oral thing, but they are singing about some scandalous.
Has there always been like a smoke detector next to OnlyFans?
Yes, I believe so.
I'm just
Yeah,
noticing.
I can never, because there's two.
Yeah,
The
there's like
white
some-
thing,
Yeah.
unless that's a
Ruby light.
light, but I wouldn't think that
It
would be a
looks-
light.
That's probably the
Oh.
sprinkler
Oh.
Oh, fair point.
in case of fire.
Gosh, how funny would it be if like they just started pouring the sprinkler on everybody in the middle? Bev would
Don't
lose
give them
it.
any ideas.
Ew, I don't want to see a Bev wet t-shirt contest, and
Well, she's
I
wearing a
pretty much
robe.
don't want to. Well, yeah, but
I
then
can't
it's Jen
imagine-
McCabe.
I can't imagine the black robe would be all that revealing.
Ew.
Just saying. Just saying.
Wet it might be.
They don't,
Don't say Bev and wet in the same sentence. Ugh.
Well, that helps with my diet. Size
Yeah,
0
I
Mo on the way. Whenever it's my new patented dieting thing. Whenever you want to eat, just think of, well, Bev, and that just will stop right there.
You think the white one's a smoke detector, not a sprinkler? You could be right.
Then why is there a red and white smoke? How many smoke detectors do you need? They're not far enough apart to detect smoke from a vastly different part of the room.
Yeah, really. This is true. This is true. Bev doesn't get wet, but she stays moist.
No.
We have gone
Ooh.
off the rails.
As
Not even
opposed
our
to any
fault.
other day. Yeah,
I
we
blame-
were.
I blame two things. I blame Bev for taking till 9:48 before the jury even gets in, and I blame Baker for leaving us unattended. That's his own fault.
True. This was a terrible idea.
Well, to be fair, I didn't get permission.
No, we gave
This is
permission. We
this is
all
a rogue
decided it was
stream.
our idea.
It was an executive decision.
You did
is
ask
what happens,
nicely, but he
Baker.
didn't answer. So I said, "Yeah, I think you should." And Mo was like, "Yeah." So we're like, "You know what? Let's do it."
Oh,
Were you guys having a conversation in there? I didn't even notice. Oh, you were talking somewhere else.
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
guys. I wasn't even part of the conversation. No wonder I was out of the loop.
You never hang out in the Discord, so
No, I don't.
No.
Yeah. The preview of next week, guys. I'm so sorry.
It'll be fine.
delight.
Hey, at least by next week, I've got to finish sealing him and finishing his neck. But angry
wow.
lawyer on a stick.
Look at him.
He's
Now,
so
where did the
creepy.
glasses come from?
They actually came from doll glasses that you can buy separately if you're into the creepy art of creating those creepy dolls. But I make creepy puppets, so I thought that they would work too. I think I might have enough to make a Bev one. Mr. Mo is like, I'm just not going to ask questions anymore. I was like,
Why are all my carbon monoxide detectors on the ceiling then?
Mine are on the like lower.
Really?
Hmm.
All my smoke detectors are like smoke, fire, and CO2 detectors. They're all on the ceiling.
Did you install them?
This round, yeah.
Well, oh, if they're all built in one, it's kind of, I mean, you're more likely to get smoke than carbon monoxide if you don't have a fireplace.
He said also that is incorrect. Don't always believe in science. Okay, that makes more sense. I don't think that's accurate, Brian. Wait, why are yours on the ground then, Marissa?
Mine plug into like the outlet,
Oh, that's nifty.
but I also have like the Nest Detect ones
oh, cool.
that like do carbon monoxide smoke and everything.
Okay. Right on.
But I get really paranoid about those things, so I have like extra ones like plugged in everywhere just as backup. Because I do have a fireplace.
Ooh, fancy.
Oh, yeah, I do. I think we have them somewhere. Look, I let Mr. Mo take care of that. He asked me this weekend, he's like, what would happen if I passed and you don't know any of this? And I was like, I would marry the pool boy that I don't have.
Oh yeah,
Next
My-
husband's going to be the maintenance guy.
I'm pretty sure Ice got my pool boy. I'm not kidding. It's really sad.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing.
He,
That's
well,
outstanding.
I don't think he was on a visa at all. And
I
his
don't
number
think-
does not go anywhere. So
I don't think aquatic maintenance was the thing we were giving visas out for, but I could be wrong.
Hey, maybe.
never had a U.S. citizen as a pool boy, so
I don't think anybody in the country has ever had a U.S. citizen as a pool boy.
no.
Oh, well, in my dreams, I have Trace Adkins or Henry Cavill, but that is completely,
That's a different situation, Mo. Totally different situation.
hey, they filled out their visa forms correctly.
Oh wait, where did it go? It's above that. Shiza. There we go. Brian the science is volunteering for me. I mean, I'm
Get it,
taking
Brian.
applications, but you do have to show me what you look like. With a
It's
shirt
like
off.
Hooters. We need you for your waitressing skills, but also, could we see, how you fill this outfit out?
I used to do. So there was a guy like when I was.
I thought you were going to say you worked at Hooters.
Or as a pool boy.
Well, I kind of was a pool boy. Like, so I had a neighbor who was an old guy, right? And he spent his entire life building, opening, and closing for the season pools, right? Like he'd go in, build a pool in like fancy ass residential neighborhoods. So when he got to be, old man retirement age, he would still like open and close a few pools to keep some money coming in. And I would work with him in the summer, and we'd go and open pools and prepare them for the end of the season at the end of the year. It was a good time. Good time. He was funny.
Sounds like hey, get to be outside, meet people. Sounds like a Valhalla kind of job.
It was good. It was good.
And if you get hot, there's a pool.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you can be guaranteed that no little kids have piddled in it because you just opened it.
Facts.
But squirrels might have.
Well,
Facts.
that's okay.
We opened ours one time, and there was like 4 or 5 dead squirrels and a dead bird in there. I was like,
You'll
I
have
think
that.
we forgot to ratchet one of the little clip thingies.
They
Where
can
it
get
came
in, but
undone.
they can't get out.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh no.
I do have like one of those little ramps for frogs in case they get in, so they can get
Oh,
back
that's
out.
cute.
That's the most California thing I've ever heard you say in my entire life.
I know, and I'm not in California.
I don't know. I think that's cute.
I would though,
Like,
if that was.
Yes.
I'd have a couple. I have one on every side of the pool because I'm a weirdo like that. And Mr. Mo would take them off every day and I'd put them back on. And it'd be, our constant back and forth of saving the frogs.
Sue, she just leaves them in there.
Just add a little more chlorine. It'll take care of it.
Well, the pool at the beach, like we don't have. It's like a community pool, but like we get crabs in that one, and they live because it's like a salt
Crabs?
Mm-hmm.
Like hermit crabs or like
No, like crab.
crabs.
Crab, yes, pinchers. Meat. You can't see me, but I'm making the crabby.
Can
Yeah.
you cook them after? Do you have like a crab boil? Do you have a low county boil after you open your pool?
I'm pretty
Like what kind of crab though? What kind of crabs do you have around?
Blue
Crab.
crabs.
I'm saying like down at the beach in Jersey.
Wait, you have a,
It's,
The blue
they
shell
call in
crabs?
from the bay.
why do you have a pool at the beach?
And why haven't they put a t-shirt or started selling t-shirts that says, "Come to this pool, we have crabs." Everyone has crabs.
Oh, that
Why
would
aren't
be
we
a fun
marketing the
one.
hell out of this? Because I would go to a pool with crabs in it just to get a t-shirt that says I went to a pool and now I have crabs with a little, crab, actual like Sebastian crab on the front of it. I would buy the hell out of that t-shirt.
Yeah. I mean,
I went
Teresa Dirksmeyer had a bird drop a lobster in their pool. That's awesome.
That is
Like
America
dinner.
paying you back. That's
That's
the most America thing ever.
I wouldn't have drove to the
that
beach. I would have
actually
put a
might be
pot
how
on the
they get in
stove is what
there.
I would have done.
I don't even know.
Probably.
Well, when I went to Florida to visit my friend, that was the first time I've ever seen a crab in like the wild. They were the blue shell crabs.
In the wild, like in
Yeah,
Maryland.
like in the. I was down in Florida. It was like, but like you see them on TV or like in an aquarium or whatever,
I don't know those little.
or on a
Little-
plate, but you don't see it like hanging out like in the wild. And they were like, I don't know what time of season it was where they were all over. They were just, you'd go outside and they're like, tick, 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 and like they're like mean. I feel like
What are they like?
came at them. With their little tappy,
So
legs.
tapping.
Exactly. This is the official sound of a crab. Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
No,
Tappy legs.
the pool in Jersey is right by the bay, like maybe like 10 feet from the bay. So that's how the crabs get in. I think they just walk, or maybe birds drop them in. I have no idea. But my nephew always goes in and saves them,
Oh.
Aw.
mostly because I'm afraid they'll pinch my toes.
And thank you, Dan Davis, for becoming a member of the Church of Mo, or it might be the Handworkers United. I don't remember what I put on there, but it always makes me giggle. So thanks.
Handworkers United.
Mixed feelings.
Oh, Paul, need to go try to take my dog once, and then it pulled up for some reason. Mixed feelings.
One day,
Shouldn't be
Jojo,
laughing
I'll
at your
give you guys-
dog.
Oh, everybody,
I'll give
behave.
it
We're
that
trying.
Yeah.
We're trying, Baker. We're trying.
And Dan, thank you for the super chat. Trial will start at 10. The first break will be from 10:30 to 11. Lunch is from 12 to 1. And the second break will be from 2 to 2:30. Sidebar at 3, 3:30 to 4. And then court is over today. Possibly the most accurate prediction I've ever heard.
Yeah, we'll have like
Sadly.
maybe in 45 minutes of court, a full court today.
Ew.
Well, I thought that the jury was entering. Are we still on a sidebar? Or are they getting them from where? Jersey?
Yeah,
Well, they
this
could
is
Are they
Yeah.
being
showing-
ransomed?
I think they're still
They were
eating
on the-
breakfast.
they were at the beach. They had to go get them.
Maybe they had White Claws for breakfast.
I mean, honestly, if you were on the jury, would you come back after a long break? Hell no, they'd have to bring my ass in with troopas and cute ones at that. And then when Bev said, "Did you shouldn't show up?" I'd be like, "Would you?"
I'm not good at math, but double pay 0 times 0 is infinitely 0.
That's true.
Yeah. Even if you account for the 31 to 28 second drift in the time continuum, it's still 0.
Listen, turtle.
Listen, turtle.
Turtle. Like I would say, hey, Aiden, like calling a grown man turtle is kind of
Turtle boy of all things too. I've always thought that's like the dumbest name, but it works for
I'm
him.
over here with Mo, so I can't really.
The backstory
you know.
is kind of funny. Like I didn't realize there was a backstory to it. So
Oh,
Well,
once
did
I
they
heard the
ever-
backstory, I got it better.
What's the
Well,
backstory?
you guys, yeah. What's the backstory?
There's a statue in the town that he's from of like a boy like setting a turtle free. I hear
Oh,
Marissa hopefully will pull it up. But
Yeah, I'm
it
typing
looks
for it.
like he's banging the turtle, he said. And it's just always been funny because people will come and like look at the statue and come visit it or whatever.
Oh my gosh. It is bad.
oh, this is something.
So he
Does
just
this look like a
adopted that
Mo
name, he
sculpture?
said. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like the boy doing the turtle.
No one in marketing said, "Hey, no, this sculpture looks great, but could you possibly?"
Yeah.
The turtle's got the O face going and everything. Oh my god! Oh my god!
I mean, it's not so much that he's setting him free, more that he's mounting him.
And he's naked.
Yeah.
It's just-
But yeah, he says it's from the town he's from, so and it's like a staple in the town, so he just adopted the name.
That's it. I'm getting a T-shirt of that. Never mind.
I guess that's why they call them turtle riders.
Yeah, that's why they call them turtle riders.
It's terrible.
That's
I
gonna
never
make
noticed the turtle's face. That's classic.
that's gonna make the Nemo scenes where they have the sea turtles so much weirder now.
Ugh.
Yeah, so if you didn't know, now you know.
We
Listen,
are
am I supposed
fonts
to add
of
this?
knowledge.
You can. You certainly can.
It won't let me.
We got to take this one down and then share this one.
What was that? Oh, no.
Is that the sound they make?
Yeah.
I don't.
That poor stump. That poor tree stump had no idea what was coming.
That poor sweet stuff. Oh my God.
Baker's on whatever he's driving his car at the highest gear possible. I don't know how to drive a stick, so I assume that's how you go faster. So he's just at the highest gear ever, just like 70 miles down the, whatever sort of highway to try to stop whatever we're talking about from happening.
Please. He's worse than we are.
What?
KLF, that's
I
good to know. I
didn't-
The
hadn't.
aquatic turtle back there likes to show his off a lot.
Yeah,
Is
how's
it
your
in the shell
turtles
or
doing?
outside of the shell?
Well, it's outside of the shell. It's by their tail.
Oh, so like their
Okay, but
butthole?
It's pretty much.
wouldn't they be afraid people with
Same area.
other little turtles would think it's a worm? And
Well, it stays inside until it's ready.
Bite
and
it
then
off?
comes outside.
Is that
well,
what?
yeah, but you said he likes to show off all the time.
Oh,
I'm
he
just
does.
thinking
Every time I pick him up, it comes out. He's like, hey!
we are hetero life partners. Hetero life partners. Jay and
Listen.
Silent Bob,
Oh, listen, tree stump. Yeah.
not Siegfried and Roy.
I think I need a new camera.
Oh my god.
I didn't
Did I?
realize that mine had a better value, and Mr. Mo just looked at me and rolled his eyes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so. Mike is definitely testifying today.
All the mics and Ikes.
Yikes.
Yeah, all
What's
the
that last name?
me. You can keep flowing in the money to not me and try to get me, but
Emma.
Let's go. You
It's
have to
gonna
lure
happen
her
once.
in with some real good chats, and then when she thinks you've turned over a new leaf and you're going to be a gentleman today, that's when you get her.
there's been a supplemental witness list filed by the defense.
Ooh,
Okay.
What
That's
does that mean?
interesting. Who's on it?
Yeah, what's that mean?
Matthew Coleman, Michael
No.
Perico, Nicholas White, John Diamandis? I don't know.
Who the hell are these people?
It may be people that Michael Proctor texted.
oh, that might be.
Might be.
But that's according to Grant, so take it with this grain of salt.
Oh, well, if Doink says it, then I believe.
I was trying to find Doink's latest terribleness.
So, do people send him washcloths or towels? How did he become towely other than he's
don't know why.
somewhat
Washcloth
Ganja
throws me out.
I don't know why. I don't know the origin of his stupid name. Why does he call himself the Towel?
Because he's Towley from South Park. He's just a stoner.
Oh.
Oh,
Because he smells like a towel that's been in the dryer for 3 days longer than it should have.
that sat in the wash machine for 3 days and then
Yeah.
went like my kids who do laundry and then never take it out of the washer, and they're like, oh, we'll just put some more dryer sheets in, it'll bake in the mildew smell.
Ugh.
Yuck.
Well, and it was probably plucked off the bedroom floor of a teenage boy.
Fair point. There are things. Look, I'm not going into the youngest, most feral's bedrooms. That is a Mr. Mo job. I took care of 3 girls through teenagedom.
God damn it.
Ugh. And diet complete.
Yeah, right?
Why does
No.
the towel stand up on its own? I don't understand.
Ew. Yeah, no.
Can
I've
snap
lost
it in
appetite
half.
all of my life.
Just
Yep. We got wet t-shirt contest Bev, crusty towel Grant.
No, I don't
I'll
think
never
it was
eat
rope.
again.
I think it was
It's
a
like a
shoelace.
Yeah, it was like a
Or
shoe.
like a hoodie string or something.
It was terrible.
Ugh.
It was a shoestring.
how old is Towley or Grant? Because please tell me he's like 26, not like 42. Because
I think he's in his early 30s. I could be wrong though.
I don't know.
and
Did he say how old
he is doing great. His mom during that Christmas newsletter where you tell, and Grant has been spreading the truth to his many tens of followers, and he's really getting out there. We're so proud of him. He has gotten on the internets and he has a follow. But I don't quite understand his stream.
No one does. Lefty
We're
was a
on a
mod
short-
though. That was fun.
Well, at
Became
least
a mod of his channel.
we've transitioned from getting the jury to now we're on a break.
Oh, really?
I think Alessi is tearing down Dr. Welsher, and I think Bev doesn't want to have another voir dire in front of everybody with possibly what Alessi's shown. That's my speculation station. I don't have tinfoil hat yet. But I think
We should be
Alessi's
getting a
saying,
motion to dismiss after this, right? Because
yeah,
I'm
once they
still yet
close
to
it,
hear
is it a
anybody-
JOA or no, a juris something?
A judgment of acquittal. You mean? Is that what you're talking
Yeah. So I
about? Yeah,
think
they
they'll
do that
try
usually
it.
after the Commonwealth press.
Oh my gosh, DePetro, man.
What did he say?
Still no
Listen.
jury. Day has started with lengthy sidebar initiated by Robert Alessi.
Oh,
There
that
he
guy we
is.
know. Hi, Baker.
What are you doing, you lazy Fs?
We're waiting. We're waiting.
I'm trying to nuke your channel, but
See,
it was
look, you
against
would have
our
been
will.
on time. You would have been on time, guys. Look at that.
I know.
We thought we
true.
were being nice, but
Thank you, Marissa, so much for opening up the stream so people didn't go frolicking in other channels, but stuck around with us. You are
And-
a lifesaver.
I just don't rewatch.
Did Brandon send
I
a super
wouldn't.
chat? Do I have?
they
Oh, I can
all
go back and
tried.
see.
All of them.
Thank you, Lefty.
Outstanding.
I am in the market for a new pool board, though.
Did Lefty get you with his friend Janus?
no.
Did Brandon
She's
get
been
you?
on to him.
It would
I-
be a wide deer in the headlights. That's good. That's good.
I did tell them they should send all the super chats to try to get me.
Yeah. Oh, that's the new grift. Hey, can you get Marissa for $20?
I might read it for 100.
Ooh, challenge thrown.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
love those. If you're gonna say something bad about my friend, you at least have to pay me $20. No, they were showing turtle. What?
We were showing
What?
the statue that Turtle Boy was named after. And
Oh.
I didn't realize that the turtle was also making the O face, and it just made it wrong.
The whole statue is wrong. No one came up to, well, maybe people weren't degenerate back then, but let's be real, it doesn't look good.
So my trip next week will be canceled because of this is what she gets if you just have an hour. Imagine a week of this.
It was
I
an
know.
entertaining hour. I got to admit.
It was. The jury didn't even show up and we kept everyone entertained.
What did something happen, or was it just nothing happened?
Sidebar.
According to DePetro, it's all Robert Alessi's fault.
Oh,
So
Ye-
they showed up like a half hour late, and then they did a sidebar, and then they went and sat down, and then they went on break without telling us about it. But apparently the defense added an amendment to their witness list and added some names.
yeah, 4 new witnesses.
Do we know who they are? Do you know who they are?
No, I just know that there's 4 new witnesses put out there.
Marissa has the names. She had the
I
actual
do.
paperwork, but I don't recognize any of the
Well,
names.
that's what she does in the background. She's constantly sending me this on Discord, so I can sound smart.
Yeah, you guys don't think that he finds this stuff, right?
I don't do anything.
I knew.
That's why
Marissa.
I'm nice to you, Marissa.
This Karen Reed, she struck a guy with a baseball bat, right? That's the case.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they were fighting over crabs. I don't know.
yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, I don't recognize them, so.
What's the names? I can't see them on the screen because I don't have my glasses.
Matthew Coleman, Michael P. Arricchio. Arico, Nicholas David White, and Jonathan. Not even going to attempt that.
Somebody
I'm
said
trying to read
that-
it at 4 font, which make my screen bigger, dingus.
Dementius,
Diamandis,
Diamantis.
praying mantis.
Anyone heard those names before?
We were speculating, I think Marissa speculated it could have been the people that Proctor had actually texted, the leaky balloon nod and all of that.
No, the one of them is in Tennessee, actually. The guy who responded to him. He's in Tennessee. He's a prison warden or a police officer in Tennessee.
Of course. And we almost got Flash, but it wasn't our fault.
Yeah.
What?
Keep an eye on the lady in the media pool in the mint green dress because, wow, she really wants to show everybody her clam bake.
Yeah. Let's just say those skirts were open and we were hoping that it wasn't a Britney moment. Well, I mean, I was hoping. I don't know about chat.
Listen, Dixon, we know by your avatar, all right? I read it.
Listen, Dixon.
Listen, Turtle.
Listen, Turtle.
That's never going to get old. Well, it will, but
Not for today.
What was it that it's too early for the D's?
yeah,
Well, that's okay. I called Baker Dutch Boy when he was looking at me because I buy, just great value bread because I have 8 people in my house. I'm sorry. That's what we buy.
Baker's just letting us run it.
Dutch Boy is a paint too.
What does your FBI shirt say, Baker?
Female body inspector.
Classic.
Thank you, Marissa.
I will support those feds. I will not support the others. Although that does lead me to question a lot of coffin dangers.
Coffin danger.
Her bona fides, if you will. I didn't know she swung for that team, but good job.
I just pulled it out of the closet when I had to go to court today, and then when I took off my hoodie when I got back home, I thought, oh, that's good I didn't take my hoodie off in court. Probably have been a little inappropriate.
Wouldn't it be funny if you sitting there FBI in court? Oh.
Yeah. First of all, I'll have to fight with a strike in Finland, and then I have to trust.
A strike in Finland?
Yeah, I got an email yesterday that the union in the Finnish airport has declared that they might start a strike Monday when I have to go through the airport to get to my connection flight to Chicago. So, and to begin with, I only have 40 minutes from one plane to another plane. Got to be a little bit of a rush job. I have never been in Helsinki airport. I don't know how bad it is. And hopefully FD Food Ferry can meet me in O'Hare because I have an hour and 25 minutes to get through immigrations, get my suitcase, put in my suitcase because you have to do that because I'm technically not flying from Denmark to Knoxville. I'm flying to O'Hare and then taking a connecting flight, so they can't figure out to chuck my suitcase on the connecting flight. Yeah, but when I fly home, no problem. It's the rules.
Ooh, that airport is
Sorry, I
the
had a phone
worst. It's going to be rough because that airport is crazy in Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago's nuts, but you're not in Chicago, so you'll be somewhat safe.
Yeah.
I hate both Chicago airports. Although Midway Yeah, Midway, is that the other one? Yeah, that one is slightly more tolerable.
I've never been to that one. It's always been O'Hare. But yeah.
Who's got a train?
Sorry, it's me.
Ooh,
There's a train by you?
Yeah.
I've only
it's a
heard
midnight
birds, not
train to
trains.
anywhere. Go
Sure.
Journey.
Jeez, I grew up in our school mascot was the Railroaders. So
Oh boy.
Oh God,
Lots
that
of
could go so
trains.
wrong. I mean, so very wrong, especially if you have me as a cheerleader, because
Oh God.
could you imagine the chance Mo would have made for the Railroaders? Or she still will for extracurricular activity?
Yeah, and it was just a costume of a train conductor. It was so lame.
We should not be left alone.
I mean, to be fair, my kids, the town that we live in, they're famous for their artisanal like wells, so they're called the Artesians. And their mascot is basically a well.
Oh wow. Just like a stone well.
Yeah, because it's the artisan. Oh my God, are we back? Holy
You
crap!
are unmuted.
Oh no. Here we go.
Tuesday Miracle.
Finally.
Oh, she looks pissed. Well, I mean,
I was
At
told
the
council
end?
wanted to see me at sidebar again.
oh,
Oh,
Blitz.
jeez.
What the?
Jeez, oh Pete's.
Can we just take the day off?
Yeah,
What the
look.
farts?
Well,
As a juror, I am pissed off beyond all belief at this point, and they would have to send the troopas out to get me because I'm not going in when they're wasting my time.
Wait, did they get
I
too
mean,
many media people?
I mean, it depends if it's a big deal. Man.
We lost the mint green dress lady. Or she's
Well,
behind that
Jonathan
fat guy.
Demantius is someone who has something to do with Brookside management. Mr. Demantis has over 7 years of extensive experience in the property management industry, retail, office, residential, and hotel properties. Mr. Demantis is well versed in all facets of leasing administration, tenancy, relations, project management, renovations, and lease negotiations. Mr. Demantis earned a BA from Providence College in 2004, pursuing higher education. Is a licensed Massachusetts salesperson, a licensed Massachusetts construction supervisor, and was awarded a certificate in commercial real estate finance from the Boston University Center for Professional Education.
Was he the one
So-
that redid the Albert's
what-
house?
What does that have to do with anything?
Could be the one who did the basement. Could be someone who might have some rental properties with some Ring cameras on it. I don't know.
Maybe he did the sale because didn't the Alberts move out? Or
I think that was a female who actually bought it off of them with that $50,000 discount, and then resold it without mentioning there had been some non-digested manure on the front lawn.
yeah, that would be I think grounds for at least fraud.
Apparently, it's the law that you have to say it in Massachusetts.
Well, that's what I thought.
Aiden talked to them, and she didn't know.
Oh, I would be pissed because you're having a whole jury and all the media come up and yeah, I'd be pissed off.
Is it this lady we have to watch out
Yes.
for?
Yes.
It's always the ones you don't want to see.
She's attractive.
Well, I can't see
think.
it because
Well,
the
I mean,
resolution
she's
is terrible.
well,
She
that's what
just
I'm
kept
saying.
getting off the chair, like legs spread, and I don't think she realizes she's in right in line.
A
with the camera.
skirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it's better than looking up DePetro's shorts
Yeah.
or something.
notice
Yeah.
him. He's. I don't know if you can hear sidebar. I don't know if they have the white noise meter on, but he just looked up at sidebar and then started taking notes. So it would be wonderful if he's listening in on sidebars and shares it. So I guess
he'll
the ring
play.
depends on what version you have. Some will get the street, some won't. Yeah, it depends on what angle as well. And I don't believe them. No, he was just at the front door. No effing way.
Yeah, there's no way that a cop is not going to monitor, the street and people that are passing.
And Celestial, it's not a YouTube thing. It's a StreamYard thing. And I kind of like it now when it's been on for a few days because it feeds in my chat, Mo's chat, Val's chat, and the Rumble chat, which is also mine. Hey, Rumblers, all 17 of you over there. Thank you so much. Oh, and I have to figure out, because I can't set up Rumble to... Marissa, can you set up YouTube streams in my StreamYard? Yeah, I gave you that, right? I don't know if
I don't know.
Didn't we do that last year? You set up the streams?
No, you did.
The YouTube streams?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like me. That would be doing homework. Hellfish, thank you for sending these links. Oh, there's more here. Oh, sorry. Nicholas White, founder and CEO, Helionova, innovating with blockchain and AI, strategic investor in emerging tech. Helionova, with over a decade at the forefront of technological innovation, I led teams to success by driving new products to market. Maybe someone on her behalf. And Mike Arico is a general manager at wine.com. Huh.
Hey, he sounds like my favorite
really
expert.
Good customer. We're missing her.
Yeah. But Mo has filled in the gap, and for that we are grateful. Though Mo isn't as well off, so...
Great.
Brandon, this is really insensitive. I shouldn't share that.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means, but it sounds bad.
Well, you might, if you watch documentaries from roughly 1935 to 1945, see over these camps where people really learned how to concentrate.
Well.
My goodness.
I like the olive on Karen. I think that's a really good color for her. That being said, I am very glad that I got the bald spot right on Angry Lawyer. So, suck it, Hank. Bald spot.
You solemnly swear the evidence you give to the court in the case now and hearing should be truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Dr.
Oh, definitely
Welcher.
Welcher. Tell me about your education.
We're going to have a short voir dire.
Short one.
So,
Oh,
Mr. Lessie?
Ooh.
Yeah, I think Bev did not want to be humiliated in front of the jury again.
I bet you it's because
Morning,
he
Dr.
thinks
Welcher.
he heard
Morning.
about it.
If you look at any documents in answering my question, I appreciate you letting me know that, okay?
Okay.
Do you have any documents open in front of you at this moment?
I do. I have a binder.
Your Honor, I would ask until the question
Can
comes
you
up.
do without it, sir, for a few minutes?
Depending on the question. Sure.
Okay, so just let us know if you need to look at it. Don't look at it without
I mean,
permission, please.
This guy looks like a
Alright,
deer in
go ahead,
headlights.
Mr.
Thank you, Your
Leslie.
Honor. Dr. Welcher, you have changed your PowerPoint presentation in the last few days in this case, correct?
I
10:30.
deleted a slide and removed a couple words.
Right, but you've changed your PowerPoint presentation, correct?
Correct. I deleted a slide and deleted a couple words.
Who have you spoken to at the Commonwealth in the last 2 weeks? Anybody associated with the Commonwealth, who have you spoken to?
In the last 2 weeks, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Lally,
Lieutenant Tully.
Why is Tully
Anyone
still
else?
involved?
Why is Tully?
Tully.
I think Mary Ellen Gray.
Am I wrong? Tully was removed from the DA's office, right?
I don't think
He got
so.
reprimanded and then got
Yes.
removed. Yeah. But he's
Why is
all
he-
over this case.
Also, why isn't he talking to all these many people? I mean, with ARCA,
He's sequestered.
didn't they basically just talk to Alan Jackson, who had hired him? Why is he talking to everyone?
This
in
has
a
nothing to do
sundry?
with Alan Jackson.
Well, no,
This
I'm
is a
just.
state witness.
Well, no, I'm saying they got upset with ARCA for only talking to Mr. Jackson, whereas he's talking to the whole kit and caboodle
Well,
of
that's
the
why we're
estate.
having a idea, because has he been informed about the changing timeline? That's a big problem.
Yeah,
Anyone else?
The tech person, Cindy, this morning.
And with regard to those conversations, what prompted those conversations? Who initiated them?
I was originally told I was going to have to be out here last Monday. So there was a whole flurry of conversations around that. I was initially told I may have to give all my rebuttal testimony on a whole huge data set I'd received.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. My question was simply because we have a limited amount of time. Who initiated the conversations?
Oh, there were multiple conversations.
How many?
who?
I have no idea.
More than 10?
I'm sorry?
More than 10?
For sure.
Probably not.
All right, what did you
For
discuss
sure, more
with,
than
you understand it's no longer Detective Lieutenant Tully, it's, as I understand, it's Lieutenant Tully. Did you have you said you had conversations with him, correct?
Correct.
When was the first conversation? How many, and what are the nature of those conversations?
Are you limiting it to the last 10 days or in total in my life?
Within the last 2 weeks.
Last 2 weeks. I believe it was when I got here on Saturday night, I informed them I'd landed. And then Sunday morning, he gave me a ride over to the district attorney's office.
And what did you discuss from when you, did you have any discussions with Lieutenant Tully before Saturday? Within the last 2 weeks?
Not to my knowledge.
What did you discuss with Lieutenant Tully? Topics.
Give me a time frame.
I keep saying the last 2 weeks.
weeks.
That's the time frame I'm looking
all
for.
the conversations I had with him.
Yes,
Can you have somebody pick
Well,
me
that
up at the
seems bad.
hotel?
I'm talking substantive.
Something has come up. One of them is him changing his, again, it's going to change the defense's approach. Probably why they had, she should have shock and awe and be shaking and sending everyone home and reprimanding Brennan. But he's mad.
Happen here.
Sir, about your outline, your PowerPoint presentation. Topics of, what discussions about your,
It's what, yeah.
the topics in your PowerPoint
So no.
presentation?
I had no discussions with him about the topics of my PowerPoint presentation.
Who did you have discussions with from the Commonwealth about the topics in your PowerPoint presentation?
Mr. Brennan, Mr. Lally.
Describe those conversations and how many you had, including the first one that you had.
Well, I originally submitted my presentation with my original report way back, I believe, in January.
Right. I'm asking for conversations within the last 2 weeks.
Okay, your question wasn't clear.
No, it was clear, you
Then
idiot.
on
Yeah, I'll give him that
Sunday,
one. I'll give him that
we
one.
just
He
went
said
through top to
from the
bottom
first
through my
time.
presentation.
So
Mr. Brandon wanted to make
I'll give
sure
him
he
that one.
understood everything in it. And then I met with Mr. Brandon again on Sunday. We ran through it briefly again. And then that was largely it.
Who suggested the changes to your presentation?
Mr. Brandon.
Mr. Brennan suggested the changes that you make.
He indicated some of the things, for example, the slide I deleted referenced testimony
sure
that I
can't
was
do that,
not allowed
Brennan.
to include on a slide.
Were there any discussions with anybody from the prosecution team
Yes.
about the changes with regard to the, what I will call the Dighton route, the Dighton distance, and the total mileage? Do you know what slide I'm referring to, sir?
I do, yeah.
Who initiated the discussion on the changes to that slide?
So that slide was changed, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 days ago.
Oh, it was changed 8 or 10 days ago.
Correct.
Were there any changes made from 8?
Who was on the stand 8 to 10 days ago?
Days ago.
Aperture boy.
Mr. Burgess.
10
That's
days
the
ago
guys.
to what's now in your presentation?
Not beyond what
Man,
we're talking
shame.
about.
Oh, okay. So 10 days ago, those changes were made.
Did you notify the
8 to
the
10
8 to 10.
days ago. I could actually probably figure out exactly when if you like.
Now my next questions go to Mr. Burgess. Mr. Burgess is a colleague of yours at Aperture, correct?
Correct.
Are you aware of issues relating to the accuracy or inaccuracy of his CV?
Unfortunately, I've been bombarded with emails that have referenced that. I've seen it. I have not read them.
You've been bombarded with them,
What?
but you have, and you say unfortunately, but you have not read any of them? None?
Maybe 1 or 2 lines. For example, they come in, they're looking like legitimate business emails. And then I pull it up as a business email. I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to do this. Court said I can't look at this.
Now, I want to go back to your slide presentation. I understand that you intend, subject to our objections at the court's ruling, you intend to present testimony with regard to your PowerPoint where you are going to elaborate on your 1231-38 to 1231-43 trigger 1162-2, and you're going to add to what has been in your presentation a verbal discussion with regard to Mr. Burgess's change that he made in his May 8th report with regard to the variance time window. Do I have that correct?
No, you don't. It's not based upon a verbal discussion. It's based upon his report.
Okay, so you're going to make, you propose, what you're intending to do is you want to add the change from Mr. Burgess's May 8th report to what you're going to testify to on your PowerPoint. Do I have that correct?
That is correct.
And the only reason you're going to testify with regard to altering the 1231-38 to 1231-43 window is because of what Mr. Burgess has done on May 8th. Is that correct?
It's better data. So I'm altering it and correcting it with better data that I've received from Mr. Burgess.
Right, but my point is, if it weren't for Mr. Burgess's change, you wouldn't be making any changes in your testimony, correct? It's only because of what Mr. Burgess did on May 8th. Is that correct?
Only from his report, correct.
Correct. So
I actually don't know. It's a pretty new business. I think it started in 17. So they are probably out there on their knees getting their jaw muscles worked up to get some business.
They just got a whole bunch of private equity money, though, so that private equity company is going to be pretty pissed.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
if they oversold sold their employees, it's probably going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and you
yeah.
understand, sir, that change has significant effects on the very issues in this case with regard to the timeline and the collision you allege occurred, and comparing it to human volitional conduct of Mr. O'Keefe with regard to his manipulation of the phone. You understand the consequences of that change, do you, sir?
I do. I would disagree with your assertion that it's consequential. Again, my original data, which is in my PowerPoint and has not changed, that data is still there. The timing is
pissed, y'all.
within the air of the mail.
No, he's not his boss. He is just another expert working for the company.
Measurements, which Mr. Burgess ultimately showed in his subsequent report, that was within the variance associated with those timing devices.
I understand, but my point, sir, and I want to understand if I have it correct, is that is going to move the time that you assert the 1162-2 trigger occurred, correct?
Correct.
And you would agree that's a substantial change given the issues in this case when seconds matter, or do you think it's an insignificant change?
I wouldn't say it's insignificant. Again, I haven't modified my PowerPoint at all. I was happy with the data I had and satisfied with the data I had.
But you changed it?
Again, once presented as engineer would with better data, we use better data. It brings it, I'm sorry. It brings it,
let him finish.
Yeah.
it brings it closer in time to Ian Whiffin's last contact point data. But
yes,
even
that's
if
the
we don't
point.
have that, given what I
That's the
knew about
point,
the
yeah.
variance in the cell phones, my time was still within that window anyway.
Sir, you've just answered my question, which is you agree that it affects the timeline in the activity of Mr. Whiffin's report. You said brings it closer. Did I have your words correctly?
Correct. What I was concerned about was your word about significant change. It brings it closer. It doesn't necessarily bring it significantly closer.
That's
My
not for you to
original
decide, I don't
timeline
think, sir.
was very close, within the range of the accuracy of those
They're
types of
adults, dude.
cell phones, infotainment system data. So even if I didn't have Mr. Burgess's subsequent report, the data is still within that time window.
Sir, isn't it a fact that with the variance of Mr. Burgess that you're now you want to testify to, that there is a change because your 1162.2 trigger 1231.38 to 1231.43, you know that there's a device lock event on the phone of Mr. O'Keefe after that time period. You understand that, correct?
So again, there's a window of plus minus on that. Technically, those timestamps on that are, as you indicated, again, there's literally, I wrote that on my slide. It includes my slide where I have that exact comment.
But my question, sir, is the change means now that with the Mr. Burgess variance moving, you now have part of the moving range that occurs after the device lock, whereas before your change, the device lock occurred after every bit of your range of 1162.2. I have that correct, don't I, sir?
You do.
Okay.
Okay, so
Your Honor,
that's it.
that's all I needed. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to bring the jury in.
Bev's gonna do nothing.
So nothing happens. Everything is hunky dory. They can just change their report mid trial, and it's not trial by ambush. Well,
Mid trial number 2, by the way.
Yeah, this should also have been a mistrial, but I just can't wait for.
The master of the mind game whispers your downfall, you don't even know his name. Silk tongue, steel trap, every word a blade. The sweet talk, you're right into your grave.
Nice.
I was getting my jam on. Daggone. I thought I had rhythm and everything. I didn't, but I thought I did.
Discussing this case with anyone since we met last.
Isn't that how old white men dance with their arms up?
Hey, I kind of do the Trump shuffle, not gonna lie. But I did it before him.
Hi, Marissa. Thank you, Marissa.
Thank you.
Marissa's amazing, y'all. Chat, everybody show Marissa some love for getting us off the ground this morning. She's amazing.
With that, Mr. Brennan?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh God, PowerPoint death. Here we come.
44 pages.
Is the booster on?
Yes, sir.
Wait till they talk into the microphone.
Yeah, because Brennan's gonna be like, "Hello."
Fair.
May I refer to my resume?
All right.
What does
Mr.
he have to
Brennan,
look up his
whenever
CD
you're
too?
ready.
Good morning,
I just
sir.
said, can I refer
Morning,
to my
Mr. Brennan.
resume?
Could you please
Oh, for God's
introduce
sake.
yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name for the court reporter who's next to you?
Absolutely. My name is Judson Welcher. My first name is Judson. Last name is Welcher, Welcher.
Sir, what do you do for a profession?
I'm an accident reconstructionist and biomechanical engineer.
I'd like you to explain to us a little bit about
Miss Marissa, Oklahoma Hand Green Aid Fund. Something I missed this morning?
what an accident reconstructionist does.
I don't think so.
Sure. You can think of accident reconstruction and things such as this as the physics and engineering that happens in car crashes. So accident reconstruction tends to deal with everything that happens to the car and outside the car, skid marks, vehicle damage, the electronic recording systems in the vehicle, things that have to do with the motion forces and how the physics of everything occurred and how that affected the motion of the vehicles.
You said that you were an
I get it
accident
now.
reconstructionist, but also a biomechanical engineer. How is your work as a biomechanical engineer different than an accident reconstructionist?
So simply, you can think of biomechanics as similar, but to everything inside the car. So biomechanics is looking at how the effects of physical forces are applied to the human anatomy. When I'm trying to explain to somebody what I do, I say, hey, it's like a civil engineer who's designing a bridge
to get ready to attack him on him changing his testimony to earlier when he did his first report. John was touching his phone after 11:62 occurred till now. He was touching his phone when 11:62 occurred is kind of what I got. It doesn't make sense either way, but Alessi will now impeach him with that and attack him and claim that you can't trust his report.
so many trucks and cars on the bridge, are that going to cause the beams in the bridge to fail? Is that going to cause the cables to fail? So a human body is governed by the same laws of physics, just like the bridge. Obviously, it's made of a lot of different materials, but in a human body, my beams are bones. My cables are the muscles and ligaments. Different material properties, but everything's governed by the laws of physics and principles of engineering. So I'm looking at how physical forces, the outside of the car, when people are inside the car, seat belts, airbags. The first seat belt was patented by an engineer. It's engineers who quantify the force of the crash and what
the first seat belt was engineered by Volvo.
Kind of injury damage there is to the body. So it is force that causes damage like a fracture. And so we're looking at how the physical forces are applied to the body and what that means in terms of what happens to the body.
Dr. Welcher, I want to ask you a little bit about how you became a biomechanical engineer and an accident reconstructionist. Can you tell us?
Sure. So when I was getting ready to go to college, my father, who was a physician, said, whatever you do, do not go to medical school. Because I was getting ready to go to medical school. So this was
It kills every time he talks to engineers.
9 years ago, I believe. 35 years ago. 39 years ago. He said, it's just not worth it. So I said, okay. So then I entered into the mechanical engineering. I grew up riding motorcycles, taking things apart, frequently pissing my parents off when I couldn't put it back together. But I like taking things apart and figuring out how things worked. So I went to university and got my undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering. From there, I happened to be at a Thursday meeting of the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. A group came in from a company that did this type of work, and they showed some examples of how you apply engineering concepts that you learn in mechanical engineering to the human body. And so I was like, man, that's a great job. That's the perfect mix of engineering that I have and my desire, you know, to learn the medical side of things as well,
see a woman
without becoming a doctor.
If you ever think about, oh, how did this person get Person of the Year? Remember, a certain Austrian painter also won Times Person of the Year in 1933, I believe.
Doctor. So I talked to them. I actually applied to the company and was ultimately hired as a biomechanical engineer.
I think it was later.
How long did you continue as a biomechanical engineer until you went back to school?
So I actually, very quickly after I started the job, I took a human anatomy class at a community college.
Wait a minute, pause.
But they realized
he was hired as a biomechanical engineer, but he didn't take human anatomy before this.
Well, he took it later. He was pursuing human anatomy. That's what
as he was currently doing the job of accident or biomechanical engineer.
38.
Aperture, send back that investment money before the feds come or the SEC or whoever gets investment money back.
That wasn't enough. And so in around 1993, I went to the USC Medical School and enrolled through what's called concurrent enrollment, which means you can take the class, but you're not actually in medical school. It's a medical school class. But I took gross human anatomy. So it was me and 160 or so other doctors.
It's not that gross,
the same human anatomy that first year medical students at USC took. So it began in 1993.
Did you continue to work as you pursued your higher education?
I ultimately started my own company, continued to work, continued to do research, had a wonderful opportunity to have two beautiful children, and continue to this day.
Tell us a little bit about the company you started and when.
Sure. So
that drink
in
after
about
the children grossed me
October of 1994, I started my own company. me and the guy who was my immediate supervisor said, hey, we can do this better. We can do more research, more testing. And so we started our own company.
What kind of company was it?
It was an accident reconstruction and biomechanical engineering company. We also early on did a bunch of testing and design work for amusement park rides. The same concepts for car crashes applies
You're
to
the
roller
reason
coasters,
Fabio got hit with the
basically anything.
dove.
So we
Damn you,
worked
sir.
and had some contracts on improving ride safety.
Seagull,
And I was
wasn't
also on the ASTM committee that looked at amusement park ride designs.
Tomato.
Did that company
birds
grow
aren't
from
real.
2 people?
Correct. We took it from 2 to about 25 people, and then we ultimately sold it in right around January 1st of 2022.
Before 2022, did you obtain a master's degree?
I did.
And what was that in and where was that from?
So again, I was working full time. Actually, while I was doing my master's degree, I was also teaching classes at Texas A&M through their law enforcement training division. So it was extension classes. But I ultimately completed my master's thesis in December of 2001. That was from USC, University of Southern California. And I received my master's degree in biomedical engineering. I wrote my thesis. It was basically on automotive seat design, but it was titled Whiplash-Associated Disorders, Related Anatomy, Biomechanics of Injury, and the Relationship Between Injury Potential and Automotive Seat Design.
There wasn't enough shirtless men, but I really liked it. It's a page turner.
Dr. Welcher asked me if he could refer to his resume, and I said yes. So if you read just those.
And it's my resume, not my report.
Your resume, did I say?
Oh, for
No,
God's
you did.
sake, sir. No one gives a shit. I mean,
Don't
excuse
correct
me.
the judge.
You
moron.
share with us that your company continued to grow until you ultimately sold it in 2022. During that time, did you continue to pursue higher education after you obtained your master's degree?
I did. So again, ever since 1993, I've been slowly pursuing higher education, both obtaining my master's degree as well as my PhD. During that time frame, I also published
Aperture,
20
the
peer-reviewed
pursuit
scientific
of
publications.
education.
I taught for 5 years at Texas A&M and served as a peer reviewer for both the Society of Automotive Engineers and for a short period on the Archives
He did ask if he was allowed to.
of Physical Medicine. So I was working and running a company with my co-creator, as well as teaching, conducting research, publishing, also while going to school part-time.
Take us to 2011. Were you still pursuing education at the University of Southern California?
I was.
And what occurred? What did you achieve in 2011?
So in August of 2011, I finally obtained my PhD in biomedical engineering. I wrote my dissertation, reading from my resume, titled Development, Validation, and Testing of a New Sensor Array
Oh, cool, Betty.
for Intra-Articular Pressure Measurement, In Vitro Human Lumbar Spine, Intra-Articular Facet Testing, which is a lot of big words to say. I was testing cadaver spines, looking at the loads inside the spines associated with various motions of the spine.
Who deposited those loads inside the spine?
This
Did you
man
achieve
is
your PhD in
unintentionally
biomechanical
hilarious.
engineering?
It's actually in biomedical engineering. Biomechanics is within the field of biomedical engineering.
So you have a PhD in biomedical engineering.
Correct.
You mentioned that you have published many articles. Have there been articles that you have published that are
How does a biomechanical engineer not know how to tie a tie? And I'm not saying it even matches the suit he stole from the funeral director either. I'm thinking this case is going to break Brandon finally. It's not the everything we do doesn't matter, but just the amount of badly tied ties is going to break Brandon.
Should I come in with a tie tomorrow?
Only if you hate Brandon enough.
Well, I don't know how to tie it, so it'd be in a bow tie. So I'm pretty sure it would break Brandon's soul.
Probably.
Thank you.
It
Brandon.
might hurt mine a little bit too, actually.
Then my mission has been achieved. How many Marissas will be on here this week? The world will never know. It is a mystery.
Are we all just thinking the same thing? Could we just skip through these 4 hours of nothing and get to cross?
Mm-hmm.
Baker, this is going to be insufferable because this man likes to talk. We are going to get Grandpa Joe stories for half the time where he tells us little dad jokes. And then it's going to take, he's going to stand for 3 days.
And he's going to use those examples where you're sitting there thinking, what?
I'm kind of hoping we get another cat example. It was a cat on a tin hot roof and she just jumped right off there.
Well, our
the
body
force
is like a
applied-
bridge. So
her His head was hit with the same amount of force as you need to break a barrel when you defeat Satan by killing cats.
Yeah.
They're relevant to some of the subjects that you're going to talk about during your testimony.
I mean, I have a number of, again, peer-reviewed scientific publications. Peer review just means you submit it to a journal and they have other people review it, give you comments, your peers in the field. I do believe there are a number of them that could certainly be relevant to both the physics and, for example, pedestrian injuries.
If I could mention a few. You wrote an article on sideswipe collision dynamics. What's sideswipe collision dynamics?
So I was actually an invited speaker at the World Congress, or sorry, not the World Congress, the World Reconstruction Expedition. They asked me to give a presentation on
How do you
the
mix that
theory,
up?
science, and mathematics behind sideswipe or side impact collisions. That would include side collisions, glancing collisions, shallow angle impacts, such as like a corner of a bumper goes into the side of a car, any kind of glancing or clipping type impact.
Similarly, in many of the articles that you wrote, is one of them about methods for quantifying the impact severity of low speed side impacts at varying angles?
It is.
Tell us a little bit what that.
So that was a Society of Automotive Engineers paper. Again, another peer-reviewed paper that we worked on. It was kind of an extension or continuation of all that research, where we just looked at the physics and the mathematics, basically the reconstruction of glancing or sideswipe type impacts.
Similarly, methods for quantifying the impact severity of low speed side impacts at varying angles. Is that similar to the other papers, or was that different?
Yeah, I thought that was the same one.
How many
You
papers
thought
did you
it
do
was
on
just,
sideswipe?
it's your CV. Marissa, can you look up the hiring practices at Aperture? Do you need to be stupid or below? He can't
Unless
even
he's
remember
gonna
his.
rip this guy apart.
He's been there since Saturday. He should be reading his CV and his report continuously.
Well, and if he knows Brennan's going to pull up these sideswipe articles because this is a case about sideswipe, you'd have those highlighted and say, "Oh yes, I wrote this." Not, well, it was my paper about, quarter panel penetration of, angulosity that I was talking about.
If I can continue, another article.
He already
or
looks
He
publication
just
that you
skips
wrote,
over that.
occupant
So yeah,
kinematics and loading in low speed.
You can't
lateral
remember your own
impacts. What
CV.
does that mean?
It's nothing new from Aperture.
In the course of my career, I've done probably 12 to maybe 1,300 actual crash tests. I've crashed everything from skateboards, mopeds, up to trains, motorhomes, and ambulances. I've conducted, relative to this case, probably or been involved with 50 to maybe 70 pedestrian impact tests. So the low speed side impact one is we actually put human volunteers in side impact collisions. And what we did is we had accelerometers, which are things that measure acceleration. If you had physics or memory, Newton told us force equals mass times acceleration. So knowing the
he got
acceleration
it.
of something, you can get an idea of how much force is applied to it. So we have
Well,
various
Paul didn't
sensors
know
on the
that.
body.
Baker,
We have various
pause.
sensors on the car for the reconstruction.
We have computer models for this shit. We don't pay college students $5 to get hit by cars. I mean, and if we did, why isn't I involved in any of these studies? I'm a driver.
Well, actually, before you had crash test dummies, you paid people to run into things.
Well, yeah, but this is the year of our Lord 2025.
Well, it's
he got his
because
degree. He got his degree in '93. Since '93,
well,
they've
but
had
you still
crash
have to
tests.
do it because you have to be able to replicate it and describe it so ARCA can do the same test and say, we couldn't get that result. Because what you put into a computer depends on what software you're using as well. So it's actually for court, I think you need to be able to film it and so the other side can replicate it. What the hell is
Construction aspects
I have
of
to
it.
go and see what
So
the
that study
fuck's
was
going
the
on.
biomechanics portion, and the first paper you read about the reconstruction was the reconstruction portion. So the first paper you discussed was everything outside the car. Then we looked at how the forces applied to those impacts to people inside the car.
Have you had a lot of publications and studies about the force applied to people outside of a car?
I don't know if I'd say a lot, but I was an invited lecturer to the Accident Reconstruction and Collision Safety Institute conference, where I specifically gave a paper and a series, or basically a lecture on what's called pedestrian impact biomechanics, which was exactly as the name implies, what happens to
To be
pedestrians
fair,
when they're
after he
impacted
talks to the people,
predominantly
they're
by
willing to take
cars
the
and
$5
vehicles.
to get run over.
How much of your work involves pedestrian impacts?
I would be.
Probably maybe 10%, 5 to 10%. Most of it's car to cars.
Biomechanics
Are you
of
a
low-speed
camel?
impacts. Is that another
Why are you
paper that you
drinking
wrote?
so
That is a
much?
paper I wrote.
I don't want to read all of your papers and all of your publications, but on a different
Neither
topic,
do I, Brennan.
did you write a paper on the study of the measurement of Generation 2 Toyota event data recorders and low-speed side
Let's just
impacts?
get
Yes.
to the facts.
Could you tell us a little bit about what
Can we fast
measurement
forward
of
him?
event data means?
I wish.
So Toyotas, newer Toyotas particularly, have two types of electronic equipment on board that can record crashes. There is what's referred to as an event data recorder, or EDR. It's somewhat commonly referred to as a black box. It's not exactly right, but it's close. And then there's a secondary
Well, I'm
system,
glad
which
you
is
could
really
find it,
more
sir.
closely tied
Most
to
men
maintenance.
can't.
That's called TechStream, but it will pick up data that you can frequently relate back to various events. So that particular paper was looking at the event data recorder data in Toyotas.
We'll get more into that subject later, but is event data recorders a subject that you're well-schooled at?
Yes.
In addition to the papers that you've written, have you continued through the years and after becoming a PhD, your research in this area, in these areas?
Correct. For example, every year we're part of a conference called SATI, which is
Hey, Vahala,
our
remember
company,
when this case was
largely
about a
led
hit
by an
and run?
engineer, Christopher Purvis, that we work with,
Vaguely.
has spearheaded us going out and conducting
Not,
crash
you
tests
know,
for that
Dr.
conference.
Welcher's
For 10
Fabulous
years,
Adventures.
we did a lot of the instrumentation and crash testing at the Accident Reconstruction
It's been a while,
and
Mo.
Collision Safety
It's been a
Institute
while.
conference. And then for a number of years, I actually, the company actually went down and did crash testing for what's referred to as the Spine Research Institute
He's
down in San
married.
Diego. So we've been hired by various professional organizations. We came out here once, the Massachusetts Association of Action Reconstructionists, I think I'm messing the name up, had a conference. We came out here and conducted crash tests for training other experts out here. We did all the instrumentation, the biomechanics
Well, if you
of
hit
that
Trooper Paul, it
crash testing.
explains his
In your research and
lack
testing,
of
you have
cognition.
pages with dates of the different researches and testing you've done. There's over a dozen of the research and testing items and articles that deal with pedestrians. Is that a common topic in your research and testing?
Yes. So again, frequently at the conference, we're doing pedestrian tests. The last Action Reconstruction Collision Safety Institute conference, there was a series of pedestrian crash tests run there. SATI 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, some pedestrian crash tests that were done there as well. So there are a number of instances on my
dye
resume
his hair?
where I both attended class, and then I mentioned the one time where I gave
It does look less
an
gray.
hour and a half
There was
long
gray.
lecture
I
on
had to stare at his
pedestrian
damn
injuries.
photo to make
After you
Angry
became a
Warrior on a
PhD
stick.
or
He
a
had
doctor,
gray.
do you continue your education and research?
Correct. I've always continued my education and research up until, I just got back from the event data or Action Reconstruction Collision Safety Institute EDR conference, or the Event Data Recorder Summit. My company, through my relationship with the founder of that summit, was a sponsor. So Aperture was actually a sponsor of that conference. We actually sponsored it the previous year as well. And also as part of that, I assisted one of the researchers in conducting, it's called front camera module testing for pedestrian impacts on Chrysler vehicles. Excuse me, General Motors vehicles.
As a biomedical engineer, are there any groups, organizations, or certifications that are important?
I think ACTAR is important. So ACTAR is an acronym. It's ACTAR, and that's short for the Accreditation Commission for Traffic Accident Reconstructionists. And so it's a bunch of professional groups, originally from some concerns, I believe, from the Department of Transportation, got together and set standards for reconstructionists. Again, these are kind of minimum standards. You have to show, you send in your resume, talk to them about your research, and then if you're deemed qualified, you sit for an examination that tests your skills, day-long test, theory, a practical portion, and then every 5 years, you have to have 60 continuing education units to become reaccredited. I've been an accredited accident reconstructionist since February of 1995, and my accreditation is current and active up through today.
So you've been accredited for 30 years?
Yeah, correct.
I don't want to trick you on the math.
No, I never thought about it, but yeah, I guess it has been 30 years. No.
Have you testified in court before?
I have.
Have you testified in state courts?
I have.
Have you testified in federal court?
I have. Matter of fact, in Boston.
Finally.
Have you ever testified in civil cases?
He said biomedical because he used to be a biomechanical engineer and then he took human anatomy, so now he's a biomedical.
Yes, I have.
Have you testified being called by the plaintiff?
I have.
Have you ever
He keeps
testified being
switching
called
it.
by
That's
a
what's
defendant in a
confusing
civil
me.
case?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you testified in criminal cases?
I have.
Have you ever been called by the state or the government?
Yes.
Have you ever been called by a defendant?
Correct. Public Defender's Office.
In any of the cases, whether it's civil, criminal, plaintiff, defendant, government defendant, does that in any way change your analysis about data, regardless of who or where you testify?
No, I take my job is to be a critical analysis of the data. So I wanted to look at the data as objectively as possible and form conclusions based upon the data, trying to remove wherever possible speculation, try to remove wherever possible reference to testimony. Now, sometimes testimony is the only thing we have. And so we need to rely on it for bits and pieces. But generally, my job is to try and look at data and see what the data shows. I have no dog in this fight. I don't, quite frankly, care. What I'm doing is trying to do a good engineering job, which is looking at the data and drawing sound principles and sound conclusions from the data.
Like
Yeah, let's
your
hear it.
ending
You said
quest
you had a
15
company and
years
you
for a
sold it. Where do you
degree.
work?
It's a company called Aperture. I guess we were acquired or merged into it technically.
How many offices do you know if Aperture has?
Oh God, I should know that. I mean, we have them
Aren't you the
in
vice president?
Massachusetts. We have them in, I think there's 3 or 4 in Texas.
No, I don't think so.
There's, I think, 4 or 5
Bless
in
you.
California.
Well, but didn't his company get
I want to say
merged
there's at least,
into
I don't know,
Aperture?
13 to 15.
Do you work at a particular location?
I do.
Where do you work?
Long Beach, California.
Do you work with other people? Do you have a team?
I do.
How many people are on your team?
5.
And what's the team comprised of?
It,
Is everybody a PhD, an engineer?
One individual is a PhD in engineering, Dr. Umali. And then I have 3 other engineers and 1 case reader. I guess it's 6 people. I have a case manager as well.
Is there any, do you work interchangeably at the different branches around the country, or do you have your own team in California that you work with?
99% of the time, it's my own team. Occasionally, we'll get a case from another office. I've worked on a couple cases out of the Texas office and maybe a couple out of the Nevada office.
Were you asked to look at any data or information relative to this case?
Yes.
In looking at data and information, do you try to look at a narrow or broad range of information?
So I definitely cast a very broad range. We try and get as much information as possible, and then weed it down to what is important, weed it down to what is consistent with the data. So start off very big, and then get down to sort of the meat and potatoes of it, the important information.
Do you necessarily rely on everything you look at?
No, I certainly consider everything I look at, but I frequently don't rely on everything because sometimes it's not reliable.
Just a little thing Betterow put in. Interesting response when asked if you had ever testified for a criminal defendant. The witness said public defenders. In those cases, a defendant makes an application for an expert and the court assigns one at no cost to the defense. Does his very nuanced answer indicate that he has never been engaged by private defense counsel who selects and pays for the experts? That's interesting.
Or it's irrelevant.
In this case, can you share with us materials generally that you looked at in your review?
Sure. Your Honor, may I read from my report?
Yes.
Thank you. So, Mr. Reporter, I apologize for the lengthy list. Slow? Oh. So I have police reports, including the Canton PD incident report, and I have
Not reliable.
8 other reports, also the 34 Fairview Road Rams final report or cars report. I have the ring video from Mr. O'Keefe's residence. I believe that's One Meadows. I have the cruiser cameras, which are the police vehicles, onboard cameras, both front and rear cameras from 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, I believe 10 different videos. I have photos and videos of the scene from Sergeant. I have photos of the vehicles, 140 photographs of the vehicles lined up together. I have 25 additional photographs of the scene, 18 separate photographs of the scene, 2 photographs of the scene, 1 group of 92 of the scene, 1 group of 50 of the scene, another video showing the cars lined up bumper to bumper, 4 videos of the scene, I have a video showing Miss Reed's vehicle being pulled into the Sally Port at the Canton Police Department. I have a 360 diagram, surveillance video files from McCarthy's, surveillance video files from Waterfall Bar, Canton Police Report, Sally Port videos from Dighton. I have the Lexus Connect Verizon records. I have the alarm.com videos. I have a video of the tow truck arriving at the Canton Police Department.
Alarm.coms? Did he mean
One titled
ring.com?
Native Location, John O'Keefe's
No, we talked about
phone,
ring videos before.
Yeah.
Past witness statements.
I don't know
Report
which one is
examination from
alarm.com.
coroner.
Maybe it's
It's the
the
parents'
Cape
house.
Sales right
library.
data.
Parents' house.
Oh,
Something
Parents'
called
house.
Lexus
Yeah, that's right.
Entertainment.
Thank you, Jamie.
Different past summary testimony of numerous witnesses. Have earlier summary testimony of numerous witnesses. The Boston Magazine interview with Miss Reed, a Dateline interview
How does
with Miss
any of
Reed,
this help him?
a 2020
Yeah.
interview with Miss Reed,
What
lab
about
reports
those
from
interviews?
Bode,
Do the physics?
Crime Scene Response Unit,
Where do the physics come
Crime
into
Scene
play?
Response Unit Boston,
Exactly.
Crime Scene Service Section, Maynard, Crime Scene Service Section, Southeast, the Criminalist File Folder, Trace File Folder, UC Davis Veterinary Report. I have Verizon records,
A
GPS location
veterinary
records,
report too.
John O'Keefe GPS points, Axiom cache location, weather reports, medical records, including the Canton Fire Department run report for both Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Reed,
90% of these reports
medical
are
records
made up
for both
a
Mr.
year and a
O'Keefe and Ms.
half
Reed from Good
afterwards,
Samaritan.
man.
yeah.
I have two retrograde
sure
extrapolation
Leslie will get
reports,
to that.
one, and a serum plasma conversion report relative to Ms. Reed. I have the neuropathology report. I have the Orange County Medical Examiner's report, the diagrams, the postmortem toxicology report, and a second same autopsy report, more pages.
In addition to the information that you reviewed, did you on your own go out and obtain information that you thought might be helpful for your review?
I did. So first what happened is I asked for all the information on the case. So I received some information, and then what we do is we start doing our homework. So we start doing the groundwork. So once I received some of the information, what I did was, modern cars have what's called a VIN number or vehicle identification number. It's a unique 17-digit number. So what we'll do is we'll decode that VIN number, and that gives us information about the vehicles. So I did that for Miss Reed's 2021 Lexus, as well as Mr. O'Keefe's 2019 Chevy Traverse. So ran the VIN numbers, use the VIN numbers. It tells us year, make, model, safety equipment, things like that. I then got dimensional data from a program called Expert Autostats. And then I have complete parts diagrams for the vehicles. So I have literally bumper to bumper parts diagrams from something called the Mitchell Collision Estimating Guide. And what that is shows parts, involved in the vehicle. So for example, Miss Reed's vehicle, I have bumper to bumper. I certainly have all the parts around the rear bumper and tail light of her vehicle. And then of course I started additional work on top of that.
After you began your study, sir, did you have an opportunity to personally look at items that were involved in this case?
Yes, I did.
And what did that include?
That included looking at Miss Reed's vehicle, looking at Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, going to the scene of the incident. I ultimately purchased a 2021 LX 570, the exact year, make, and model of Miss Reed's vehicle, and conducted testing with that vehicle.
Did the Commonwealth pay
as well
for
as
that?
doing a whole bunch of research and compiling data for my report and slides.
You mentioned slides. When you went through your investigation analysis and ultimately led to whatever conclusions you have, did you provide and create a PowerPoint presentation that could assist you?
I did. I provided a PowerPoint presentation on January
Never did
30th.
I think I would wish for a death by
Yeah,
PowerPoint,
Coach Rana?
Yes.
but I am. Bring on the PowerPoint. Hopefully he has block letter font, Comic Sans. Come on,
My
Comic
favorite
Sans.
font.
Or Courier New Times Roman.
So I'm handing you a binder. Would you kindly take a look at it?
Oh yeah, he dressed for men a lot.
For real.
So does that appear
Because
be
I had to
copies of
look
the
at his
PowerPoint
dumb,
presentation?
stupid head for 3 hours.
It
to
appeared
make
like 141
every
pages.
letter
Didn't look at every
stick.
page, but it looks right.
All right,
He didn't want that
markers for
picture
identification.
showing how much hair he lost next to how much hair Lally lost the first time. He didn't want that side by side.
Well, and this witness, for all his talking, has a luscious head of hair. You don't want to go up against that.
With the court's permission, I'd like to have Dr. Welcher use his PowerPoint presentation to walk us through some of the information he'd like to share today.
Okay, no objection, Mr. West, right?
No objection, Your Honor. Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm looking at a paper version in front of me.
Okay, is the paper version the same as what we're going to see up here?
It is.
Okay, and that's
Possibly.
Thank you. And Dr. Welcher is going to manage the PowerPoint presentation.
We hope so.
Sir, you mentioned that
I mean,
you
it's
wanted
Canton.
to
He's
look
gonna
at the
find
area and
eight
look at the
new
scene. Your office is in California.
Tail light
It is.
pieces in there.
Why was it important to come all the way out to this area to see the scene firsthand?
Hold on a second.
I'll let you
I've never
start
seen
before I start
snow
asking more
before.
questions.
We went through this, had it working perfectly. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, for the love of Cheetos.
So that's me. That's my first
Oh, for
slide.
God's sake.
Again,
I have a couple questions for you, Dr. Welcher.
please.
The first is your office is in California.
Oh, yes, sir.
Why was it important to come all the way out here and view the scene firsthand?
And you want to have as much information as possible. So I wanted to, physically look at all the things so I can actually see with my own hands, my own eyes, lay hands upon it, look at it as best I can. You try and inspect and look at as many things as you possibly can. Sometimes they don't exist anymore. Sometimes they're gone. And you have to make a best approximation if you can't do that. In this case, I was able to look at the scene in both vehicles.
Was that an important part of your study, Doctor?
I think so. Again, it's always good if you're going to talk about what happened to the cars or what happened to the people to look at what happened to the cars, meaning to actually look at the cars, not just look at photographs when possible. So I have
trying to throw
physically
shade.
looked at the
Okay.
cars. For example, in the Lexus, I climbed in it, over it,
I'm
underneath
so
it.
glad Booger
I
grew up
downloaded
to
data
get a
from it.
bioengineer.
I did a whole bunch of things looking at Miss
I
Reed's
always wondered
Lexus
what happened to him
to assist in
after-
my analysis to try and
Yeah.
add some further objective data to what we're
Nerds.
doing here. So
Why do
same
you need
thing
to
with
climb on
Mr.
top of it
O'Keefe's vehicle.
to understand?
Looked at the rear bumper, took some pieces off the rear bumper to see what was behind the cover, to see what kind of damage we did or didn't have. So went to the scene, looked at the measurements of the curb, looked at where some of the lines are on the road because you can see them in some of the photographs.
Wait,
again,
you mean
it's-
she left skid marks? Are you kidding?
It's always
Those skid
good when
marks-
possible to inspect everything you can inspect.
I don't even know where his
You can
body
now
was.
And you're
begin and
expecting
tell us how
3
you
years
started
after
your
the fact.
investigation.
Sure. So on September 23rd, I had an opportunity to come out. Mr. Brennan was the first time I ever met you on that day, I believe.
Oh my gosh.
And I had received material before that. And what you see here is, this is my inspection of Miss Reed's vehicle. In the upper left photograph, you'll see, oh, this doesn't work very well. Upper left photograph, that's Miss Reed's vehicle. That's Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, the Chevy Traverse. And then what you see here is a laser scanner. You can see it on the ground here. Laser scanner is creating a 3D model of the vehicles. So I use that to create a 3D model of the vehicles. You can see me in the upper right photograph. That watch is this watch right here, my Garmin watch. And what I'm doing is looking at the construction
wrong with
composition of that right rear corner of the bumper. I'm looking at things such as the dimensions, where various lights and components are, and how does the geometry of that bumper relate to things that would be hit when backed into.
Dr.
What is
Welcher
happening
notes this
in
is
that picture?
9/23/94. Is that an accurate date of when you
Is he
came and
laying
first
down
started
or is that
looking
a
at
tarp?
Vehicles in the area.
He's
You said
laying down
24,
with his
correct?
I
feet
did.
crossed
It's at
on his
9/23/24,
back.
correct. And then on the slide, what I tried to do is
Behind a car.
underline what I'm
Great
doing.
move, genius.
So this is
That's a real
inspection of the
Mensa
Reed
move.
Lexus. And as noted, I'm only showing you a couple. I actually
I'm
took
surprised you didn't talk
445
about his
photographs.
sneakers.
Do you remember when you began this case? The month of the date?
No, it was obviously before this. I had material before I came out to look at the vehicles.
You think it was months before this?
I don't think it was months. No, it was maybe a month, if not
You don't
less.
know when you started the
So you
case?
began your
What
work
is
in
wrong with these
the fall of
experts?
2024?
Correct.
And I just want to ask you about the picture in the middle. You see the right taillight housing is missing. Did you
Correct.
understand that had been removed prior to you looking at the car?
It was, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. However, some of the evidence stickers, these white stickers here, were still on the vehicle.
You did not place those. Did you place those stickers on yourself?
I did not.
Were they there when you first saw the car?
Correct. They match what I'd seen in other photos.
Thank you.
So just continuing on. So what you see is, again, I mentioned looking underneath the bumper. So we wanted to see what, if anything, was damaged on the corner. So I'm putting my hand to show where the frame rail ends. This is me looking up underneath to the back side of this taillight. If you can see, this red taillight actually sticks out. And so I'm checking the front here for damage. I'm checking the back for damage.
1 second, please. Okay, Doctor, when you were looking for damage on the previous slide, did you find any damage to that lower right red taillight?
No, there was no damage to the taillight.
The middle picture is from the inside, looking at the inside of that taillight. Was there any damage to the inside of that taillight?
There was not.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So again, looked at the height of it. I mentioned this lower taillight. Notice how the structure of the bumper protrudes out. You can see one of the marks, which is consistent with the contact to Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. Here, this scratch mark, or scuff mark. Notice how close it is to this light. Again, some of the evidence, stickers. Just a better view of those. Then going down
He
the side
hasn't
of the
proved
vehicle.
that comes from John's car yet. How can he opine?
So with all
it
that
is
information,
John's
I
car?
mentioned a laser scan. So you move this laser scanner, and each minute and 51 second scan is collecting about 50 million data points. And so you scan all the way around, and then what you do is you merge all that data together. So even though this looks like a poor photograph, what you're seeing is hundreds of millions of photographs, hundreds of millions of points. And so you literally can figure out, if you wanted to know the distance from this lug nut to where the lighter is on the ashtray, you could probably do that to an accuracy of about 2 to 3 millimeters. So really, taking tons and tons of data. So it knows the exact position of every one of these millions of data points, and it knows the color associated with those data points.
Why is that data imaging so important in accident reconstruction?
You want to have an accurate model of the car. So, you probably don't need literally that many points to get an accurate model, but that's just the nature of the way the science is going. Computers are getting better and faster. Scanners are getting faster. So you get an enormous amount of data when you use these scanners nowadays. So then, as indicated on the underline here, I did a CDR. That's a little different than what you heard me say before. CDR is crash data retrieval. So that's the hardware and software that you use to download or actually copy or take an image of, which means you're just taking an image off what's on the vehicle, the EDR, which is the event data recorder. So you use the crash data retrieval hardware to download the event data recorder, otherwise commonly known as a black box. So I downloaded the black box from this vehicle, and although you can hardly read it here, again, I mentioned there are two systems on this vehicle. This is the CDR system or EDR system. There's also the text stream. The EDR system, this system is primarily to manage the safety components, protect the occupants of the Lexus. So things like fire the airbag, fire what's called a pretensioner, keep track of the severity of the crash to decide whether we need to fire the airbag. So it's not really designed for pedestrian impacts. So when we downloaded this vehicle, we got what's called a none file. A none file simply means that there's no data there. The system's working properly. We had no fault codes, but
So
for a
basically,
car
no
and a
crash was
pedestrian to
detected.
cause a file here. This is really more designed for car-to-car impacts, something that's going to have a significant
Exactly.
impact on the occupant of the Lexus. And again, the Lexus is a 6,000-pound vehicle. Mr. O'Keefe's only 216 pounds. So it's not going to register from hitting a pedestrian.
Were you surprised that there was no information about a collision in the EDR?
No, it's exactly what I expected. Okay, I mentioned the second
can't
system.
Imagine that.
So as underlined up here, this is the
200
text
pounds
stream.
is a lot.
So this is from Toyota text stream data. You can see the screens here. There's generally two types of files, what's called a vehicle control history and a PCS file. The PCS file is the, God, I forgot the name of it, the protection system. So
Jesus.
I also looked at Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. Sorry, PCS is pre-collision system.
Oh, for
Looked at Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. Same thing. Took a series of photographs, laser scanned it, looked in it, underneath it, behind it. I mentioned taking some of the bumper parts off. So I took this rear cover off here to look at the damage behind the bumper cover. Most cars have what's referred to as a face bar. That's that piece of metal that you see here. And there's a piece of energy absorber here. That's your face bar. So I'm looking to see if there's any damage to that. There was no damage to that.
Before you go forward, I want you to take a couple steps back because I want to ask you some questions to explain
Please.
text stream data. Could you go back a couple slides, please?
Sure.
You mentioned that in the EDR, which is similar to a black box, there was no information found. And then you mentioned a different system, the text stream. Can you make it clear for us how these systems are different and where they're stored on a motor vehicle?
Sure. I mean, a lot of data is stored in a similar location. The text stream system was originally designed, according to Toyota, for maintenance issues. It seemed to come about around the same time Toyota was having problems with sudden accelerations or allegations of sudden accelerations. So the text stream data or vehicle control history will give you information when there's, for example, excessive acceleration or rapid shifting of the vehicles or rapid steering of the steering wheel. So the statements are that that's designed to help the maintenance people, if you come in with a problem with your vehicle, to diagnose what that problem is. It has a lot of utility in accident reconstruction because if you jam on the brakes before a crash, frequently the text stream data will record the crash.
You mentioned Toyota a number of times. Could you share with us the relationship between Toyota and Lexus?
Sorry, in my mind, they're the same thing. Toyota and Lexus, obviously a little different, but Lexus is basically made by Toyota. So Toyota and Lexus has the Lexus safety system. Toyota has the Toyota safety systems, which you both read with the text stream data.
The text stream data, in this case, does it play an important role in your analysis?
I think so, yes.
The text stream data, did you independently download that data yourself?
So I independently downloaded it, and then I also ran a test with Miss Reed's vehicle, and I created a new text stream file so that I had a stamp in the ignition cycles of what the current ignition cycle was. So I did a sudden acceleration test of the vehicle.
On the Lexus or on the exemplar vehicle?
On her Lexus.
When you did the downloading, why did you do it yourself?
Again, you, whenever possible, want to be the one that does it, make sure it's done correctly, and be able to say, hey, how do I know that's from that vehicle? Well, I know because I was the one who did it. And so if I get it from someone else, then they frequently have to bring that person into court to say the other ones that did it, so then I can use it. So if I do it myself, it eliminates that problem, and then I have no concerns over where it's coming from. So then I know it's, hey, I did it. This is the right car. This is the right program.
You left us at slide 10 when you were inspecting Mr. O'Keefe's car.
You just had to remind him.
Correct. So again, simply a blue arrow indicating that I looked down behind all this stuff, took measurements of it, and then similarly, I have a 3D point cloud of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. So part of the reason we're making these 3D point clouds, and we'll touch on this further, in addition to the scene, you can then basically put all these things back together in the computer. So instead of having to drive the cars to the scene, for example, or to Mr. O'Keefe's residence, you can take these computer models and additional data and put it back in a computer and reconstruct everything.
Why does this car look like it melted?
I know it's a bad picture.
He said that it doesn't take a good picture, but it's a gajillion and 12 gajillion data points. So trust him, bro.
Trust him.
I believe this guy is a smart man and would make a much better mod than fake mod Val, but I don't trust him. Not knowing your own CV is pretty sketchy. It's your job.
How
Verdict,
dare you?
literal
How
scumbag.
dare you?
Well, also, shouldn't he know the name of all of the, data streams and systems that he's operating with? His casual, like, I'll member it later doesn't give you that sort of feeling of he has command of the subject matter.
I sadly was had my brother on the phone, so didn't hear it. I'm sure I missed a lot of interesting stuff. Not. Do you think any gas tank feels safe around homie?
Probably
I
not.
think it's he's more of an exhaust pipe type of guy.
Well, he
the
was
way he
laying
was
down
laying
really
on the
close
floor.
to that car.
Did he have a little hard on?
He did look like he had a bit of a chub.
Yeah, well,
Oh, God.
who doesn't?
He was excited. He was excited.
He was near a car.
That tailpipe looked really. Hey,
Oh, stop it.
the engine
That
said no,
tailpipe
but
was
the
asking for
tailpipe
it.
said yes, yes, yes.
Hmm.
Was all out and exposed there just in the parking lot, tempting me.
Mo.
I can't buy and it flashed its high beam, and you know what that means.
Oh, my God.
Look, he's like
on the
Alexis, an upgrade to Toyota for once.
Well, let's hear why this car looks like Emil from the RoboCop 1. If you know, you know.
So before we had the exact angle of impact, again, this is for looking at
That's
when
not how-
Ms. Reed contacted Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, backing out of Mr. O'Keefe's garage at One Meadows. I lined them up just to generally show the approximate location. A couple things. You notice how, again, this lower portion of the Lexus bumper sticks out. Notice how the side of the Chevrolet slopes in as you get higher up. So this portion sticks out more than this portion. And this is where you would expect any contact damage to occur, assuming there was an impact. So
Assuming there
again,
was an
looking at
impact.
the measurements up the height of the vehicle, of course, as you indicated, Mr. Brennan, the taillight's gone. And then went to the scene. So same thing, went to the scene, took, again, 297 photographs of the scene, had our people scan it to create a computer model of the scene.
Does that make
So-
you cool? Because you took 200 pictures? Like, come on.
Well, he needs it. The funny thing, yes, is the taillight isn't on the car. But if you remember when it's parked, it has that little protrusion. It probably could have been, maybe they should measure it on the other side where the taillight is still in, that protrudes, whatever.
Not to
literally, if
mention
you want to
those
know the
angles
distance
weren't
from
set up the right way either.
No,
The way
he
she
said
backs
before
it-
we had the angle.
Oh,
this window to, say, some manhole cover on the road, we have the data to figure that out, down to a couple millimeters.
In addition to going to the scene and doing the digital mapping, you
That
mentioned
model
other review
looks
of materials. You
weird.
can have an opportunity to review dash cam footage from Canton Police Department police vehicles to
oh, for God's
see
sake.
the general location of where Mr. O'Keefe
suit
was
on
when
the
first
bat makes it
responders were
explode.
assisting?
I'm not a prude.
Objection, Your Honor.
So that's just a yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you.
So the text stream download. So this is a screenshot from the text stream download. Keep in mind, this is kind of maintenance software. So we're looking at a number of things in the maintenance software. What we see is, and this is noted in the report too, that when the vehicle gets into the Canton Police Department after this event, you can see the mileage is 12,665 miles. So that shows up in Trooper Paul's report. It shows up in the photographs, and it shows up as
Trooper
matching
Paul.
the mileage in the text stream data, both at triggers 1164 and triggers 1167.
I ask you if you can enlarge the data on the right and break down what it actually means, the different columns and the. Is it possible for you to enlarge that?
Enlarge it.
That's why we have a Mr. Wolf, you guys.
Yeah, could you get Mr. Wolf to do this?
My fingers are too fat.
Thank you.
I'm glad that's part of the record. That makes me happy.
So what you're looking at is what I call event 1162. If you see anything in blue on these charts, that's information that I added. I typically put my initial, JBW, Judson Blair Welcher, that's me. And so this is referred to as the key cycle trip.
Blair?
So key cycle is simply you turn it on, not necessarily turn the ignition on, turn it on, turn it off. That's one key cycle.
Objection, Your Honor. We were told by Mr. Burgess, Trooper Paul last year, it's just when you click it on. It's not when it turns on. I'm not sure this guy knows that. Trooper Paul is, first of all, he's my spirit animal. And second of all, he is actually very competent. He did 140 hours of online testing. And he said, as long as you just put it, when you get the warning lights on before you hit the engine, that's a key cycle.
I thought it was only 40 hours.
No, 140. He knows his stuff.
I mean, he did math and stuff. I'm with
Science
Trooper Paul.
and stuff. Sorry.
Why are we getting this guy up here? Bring back Trooper Paul.
So I labeled this one 1162-2 because there's also one that's on the same key cycle that I'm calling 1162-1. The system also records the mileage. So again, this is a maintenance system generally. So what you see is the T here is the trigger, and there's a point. So this time in the text stream data, you could think of it as like a stopwatch. It's when it starts when the car turns on and stops when the car turns off. And then if it sees a triggering event, a T, it records that information. So this is when the trigger happened. So that's 1,142.2 seconds. And so I've converted that to minutes and seconds because most people don't think in seconds. And so what it also does is once it sees a trigger, it's constantly circulating data through the computer. So when it says, okay, we have a trigger, it saves 5 seconds before the trigger and then 5 seconds after the trigger. So the trigger's in the middle and you have 5 seconds of data before and 5 seconds of data after.
I have a couple questions for you,
Please.
Dr. Welcher. First, starting with the clock, the time in seconds on the left. You mentioned that begins when the car is turned on. What type of clock is that called?
It's just a continuous clock, meaning it's not a clock like a time clock. It's more like a stopwatch kind of clock.
Has it ever been referred to as a running clock?
The same thing. You start the stopwatch, it's running.
Based on the text stream data alone found in that one spot, can you tell from the data in the text stream alone what time the power was turned on?
No, not alone. It simply tells you how long it's been on. It doesn't necessarily immediately tie it back to a clock time. You need additional information.
And so this in and of itself, the text stream data doesn't give you a certain time on a clock, like 1 o'clock or 2:30, anything like that.
No, it simply tells you in this case, when the trigger occurred, it's been on for 19 minutes and 2 seconds.
You also mentioned that there's a 10-second window of information this captures, 5 seconds before the T and 5 seconds after the T, the triggering event?
Correct.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained, ask it to.
That window of 10 seconds, what happens if that doesn't capture the entire event? What if there's
Well,
something
rest
before
in
or
peace.
after? What does the text stream data do?
So it depends on what the something is. So if there's another trigger, then it will record more data. So you can have two triggers that are recording things on the same time window as well, or very close to the same time window. So you need another trigger to keep it
How
going.
triggered
But
is
in
this
essence, what it does is when it
Lexus?
sees a trigger, it saves that 10-second window and then just keeps monitoring things until it sees another trigger.
If the data captures a trigger, and it has a 10-second window, and an event continues past that 10 seconds, so past the 5 seconds on either side, and there's no further trigger, do you get any other information from the text stream data?
No, for example, in the trigger event, and say 5 seconds later, the vehicle's still moving, well, the data just ends. And it says it's going, I don't know, 17 miles an hour, for example. It doesn't continue on. We just know that when the trigger ended, it was going 17 miles an hour.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, so we have mileage recorded in this system. So what we're trying to do is use the available data to see if we can determine, you know, like what event this is, or is this the event, or is this something that could have occurred outside 34 Fairview on the evening of this event? And so one of the things we're utilizing is the mileage. Okay, so 12629 is at the end of event number 2 on the 1162 ignition cycle. When the vehicle ultimately comes into the impound yard, and this is actually before that, comes into the impound yard, it has 12,665 miles. That's a difference, did the math for you here, of 36 miles. Okay, let's consider where that could have come from. So we looked at the various paths and descriptions of where Miss Reed's Lexus was driven after leaving 34 Fairview on the night of this event, up until the point in time the vehicle ended up at the Canton Police Department. So we used Google Maps. We adjusted for the correct date and time of the year. And then what you'll also see is we adjusted for the correct time of day. So although you can't really see that.
Sorry, how does the time of day influence the mileage driven?
It shouldn't matter at all unless they over the course of the afternoon built a new highway or something.
So
yeah, because if she has to stop at 2 red lights, it would be the same mileage.
Right.
If it's 5 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
So he's made up to try to get to, basically he's input things to fit his theory. He's taken all of these various routes that he doesn't know exactly how she went. And he said, well, this route actually works with my guesstimation, so I'm going to use it. So not interviewing Karen, because I thought he wanted to get all of the information. This isn't science. You don't just make crap up and put it in an Excel sheet and call it science.
No, but this is again the word that that Trooper Paul didn't know. Confirmation bias. He went and said, I need this car to be at X on the pedometer or whatever it's called. So I have to do Y set to get it to line up. So this must have been the route people took. Can I prove it? Absolutely not. But it fits my narrative. It's first suggested distance 37.9, maximum suggested distance 39.7, maximum suggested route distance 36.1. Again, suggested. What is this?
This is literally a guess.
Blow it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is bothering me.
So you can see that's looking at the mileage and time. Again, really didn't use the time, just used the mileage on Saturday, January 29th at around 12 a.m.
Mister,
of course,
I
does
look
not
at all
take into
the
account the
evidence.
weather.
I didn't look at the time.
And what are the addresses?
But again, he didn't look at potential light snowfall. Come on now.
So this is from 34 Fairview
PowerPoint.
to 1 Meadows Avenue, which is Mr. O'Keefe residence.
And there are other mileage that you have there?
Correct. So we basically ran through the entire path as we understood it. Again, we didn't have complete information. We didn't know the exact roads. We didn't know if turned around, stuff like that. So you're seeing the suggested available paths, and we end up with a range of data. So we go through all the paths, and you can see that this is what we end up at the bottom here, which is very hard to see. So the minimum suggested route is 36 miles, 36.1 technically. We have a range of 37.9 to 39.7, but again, that's right in the range of the 36 miles. So that's a data point that's starting to build our confidence in what is in the text stream data being related to our event.
This is all an effort to match whether or not the 1162 data is relevant to a particular event?
Objection, Your Honor. Sustained.
Let me ask it this way. Matching all the distances by miles, is this the only way you're trying to determine whether 1162 is the event in front of 34 Fairview Road?
No. So again, these things are all tools. You can't take necessarily one data point in a vacuum. You need to consider the totality of the data. Which is what I did. So we mentioned the continuous clock that was in there, or the running clock that was in the vehicle. So what you see over here.
Could you enlarge that for us, Doctor?
I am doing that right now. You can see we have the time. And again, I've converted it in blue to minutes and seconds. This is the first trigger on that key cycle. So on key cycle 1162, there was 2 separate events. The vehicle keeps a continuously running clock. So we're able to see the time each event occurred relative to when the vehicle was started and the difference between the 2 events. Okay, so at trigger event 1162-1, we know that the ignition has been on between 10 minutes and 57.4 seconds. Or that's when the trigger is, sorry, 10 minutes, 57.4 seconds. Again, the trigger has plus or minus.
When did they leave the bar? They left the bar at 12:11. So this is 12:23:24. So is this the 3-point turn or what is it?
I guess I have no idea. They didn't explain how we get a trigger, what a trigger is. They have just gone on into random babbling BS, and I have no idea where in the nebulous F we are. So is it Narnia or the Great Valley, you guys?
At this point, I'm completely lost because if this has to do, it's a continuous clock that starts when the engine is turned on. They leave the Waterfall Bar and Grill at 12:11. I think I remember. But they don't arrive till 12. I think he said that they did the 3-point turn at 12:24. But Nagel said he arrived right after them around 12:30. So did she hit him at, or is this the 3-point turn? The 3-point turn was at 12:24. This should be at 12.
Isn't that what the other aperture guy said? The other aperture guy said 11.6.122 or whatever the hell key cycle this is. I think he was trying to say that was the 3-point turn.
Okay, so this is the 3-point turn. Then after this 3-point turn, there should be 8 minutes on the clock for the next triggering event that hits him, because that's when they claim at 12:32:58. I don't know.
So that's from 10 minutes, 52.8 plus 10 seconds, which gets you to 11 minutes, 2.8 seconds. Or as I wrote here, 10 seconds total. So again, the text stream data indicates at the time this event was written, the trigger occurred, again, at 10 minutes.
What?
You see we have the T.
Oh my God.
10 minutes, 57.4 seconds.
I
Dr.
don't
Welch, I'm going to
care.
ask you a couple of background questions. This block of time that you're reviewing that mentions 2 triggers, can you tell whether those triggers are immediately related or 2 separate events?
So you can tell they're separate events because there's a separate amount of time between them. There's about 8 minutes between the events. And so they're on the same ignition cycle, meaning the vehicle hasn't been turned off in between. And we have this continuously running clock that records when these things occurred. So it tells us when event 1 occurred, when event 2 occurred. We know it's on the same ignition cycle. So if we have some idea when the car was turned on, we can then tie that back to clock time or real world time. Okay. So lots going on here, right? A lot to digest. This is trigger event 1162.1. I was provided with data and a report from Mr. Burgess that indicated the infotainment system was turned on at 12:36. Zoom in for you folks. That corresponded to a GPS location that looked like it was outside the Waterfall Grill on Washington Street. So additional cell phone data that we had is that we knew there was a 3-point turn made when the Lexus passed Fairview on Cedar Crest, pulled into a driveway, and made a
Baker,
3-point
can
turn.
you pause?
So what?
Okay, whoever did these PowerPoints, these are way too crowded. A PowerPoint is supposed to be a visual that
Helps you.
that helps you. All I am seeing is, oh my God, what in the spaghetti monster?
At trigger event at 1161-1, ignition has been on for approximately 10 minutes, 57 and 40 seconds. 10 minutes, 52.8 seconds to 11 minutes, 02.18 maybe seconds. 10 seconds total. What does that mean? For data from
what does any of that mean?
Shannon with one N, infotainment system turned on at, I can see that, engine running, likely leaving Waterfall area parked on Washington Street. Per O'Keefe cell phone data, 3-point turn on Cedar Crest at approximately 0.154 at approximate figure 1. Lexus was turned on at 11 minutes, 28 seconds later. 1162-1 text stream would be at what if any understands any of this?
Yes. Anybody getting this? Because I am lost, guys.
I'm lost. He's not telling a story. The part of the expert is, yes, you've got all this mountain of data. What you should be able to say is, look, I looked at all of these. I, synchronized watches on the Telematic and Infomatic and Ronomatic and got it all together. And this is the very simplified, computer model of what happened to John O'Keefe, because what trigger are we?
And again, at the last trial, they never mentioned that 1162 had anything to do with the 3-point turn. It was the impact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the first trial.
In the first trial, 1162 was the impact.
So what? I mean, I'm kind of lost too. Have they told us what a triggering event actually is? Like,
no. It's just when something happens, it'll make a triggering event and take a plus minus 5 second window off it. But then they said it's a 10-second continuous window. But that doesn't make sense because it's to help you if you get into an accident, to measure your throttle before your impact and after.
But didn't he say earlier that because John was only a 200-pound man, that it wouldn't have triggered in the car and like the car hitting anything? So then what is it triggering?
Yes.
What you see over here is GPS data from Mr. O'Keefe's phone. And with that information and knowing when the system turned on, we're able to now tie the text stream data to a real clock, meaning what time of day did that text stream trigger occur. So we're going from the running clock to a real world clock. So if you take when it was turned on from Mr. Burgess's report, you can see that the Lexus.
But Mr. Burgess' report had a window. He claimed he had a time, but he couldn't prove that time. And Mr. Burgess couldn't tell his ass from his hat.
No.
Same as triggering a girl, nobody knows the cause. Brendan.
Why would they use this triggering event?
Because
hold on.
No, I can tell you why.
Earlier,
because we spent an hour, 4 hours listening to why we chose this event. This is when he can see the GPS change direction. Remember that 8 seconds where the car moved 180 degrees without the car moving? That's how he zeroed in the clocks. So the clocks on the infotainment system and on the phone was the same. This is what Burgess said. I took a random point of data and then I said the time that the phone has and the time the infotainment has, there's a disk drift. Because I can tell you that the 8 seconds it took Karen Reed to do a 3-point turn without having any speed on the car was exactly when John's phone turned 180 degrees. This is what everything is based on, is Burgess's report that has Karen Reed parked her car for 8 seconds and then going 11 miles per hour.
My follow-up question, I guess, would be, why didn't they use Karen Reed leaving as the triggering event? Because he said that he wanted it's supposed to be the closest to the event in question, right? They wanted to make sure that the drift was as little as possible, so they used the event in question. I would think that the event closer would be her leaving.
But no one knows when she leaves, and sadly, we don't have Karen's GPS data. Apparently, the police deleted it and claimed she did it.
Of course they do.
But again, all of this relies on Burgess being able to fix a timeline. And again, I want to see what the infotainment system says, because even though he says it's not enough to hit a 220-pound man to, well,
trigger it, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that a pedestrian strike at 24.3 miles per hour would make if the system
if I
makes
hit
a trigger
deer,
because
I'm pretty sure it'd say something.
But a 3-point turn shows up as a trigger, but hitting someone could be.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
This was turned on at 12:36. You add in the text stream information, you get it at 12:23:38.
Because the car was always running.
A cell phone data point at 1:54. So at the time my report was written and these slides back in January, that was all the information we had in terms of data point 154. That was the one that was closest in time to it. So we had since received additional information.
Jemima.
Dr. Walter, let me ask you a couple questions, and if you can zoom in a little, we might be able to see it a little better from here.
Where would you like it?
If we can start at the top when you explain in text. You told us that the text stream data does not have an actual clock. It has a running clock, like a stopwatch.
Correct.
And then you mentioned that after you received information from Mr. Burgess, you could put an actual time onto it. How do you do that?
Sustain.
How's he supposed to
You
explain
shared
how
with us
Mr.
that the
Burgess came up
texting
with
data
this?
runs on a running clock.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mr. Burgess
And then you received further information so that you could actually identify a time. Where did you receive that information from?
I'm going to allow that.
That was from Mr. Burgess's report.
And do you know where that information came from?
That came off the SD card, I believe, in the infotainment system.
Do you know
didn't.
when Mr. Burgess
No, it
found
didn't.
the SD card on the infotainment system?
No, I'd have to go back to his report. But it was in it. This information was in his original report.
Based on the SD
His original
card
report
information
or the
about when
one
car
from
was turned
May?
on and off, how do you match that with the text stream data to get a time?
Wait, pause it, Baker.
So when
The drift and all of that wasn't until May. This was not in his original report, if I'm gathering the statements correctly, which I could be wrong because this man has irritated me.
He changed the amount of drift in his report.
Oh,
when the car is turned on, that's approximately when the running clock starts in it. There may be as much as a 3-second delay in it, but that's approximately when the clock turns on. So this shows us when the stopwatch was started for the text stream data. So knowing that infotainment system has date and timestamps on it, so that ties it to a real world clock from GPS information. And so now we can, when that infotainment system turned on, it's very close in time to when the text stream data started recording data. That allows us to tie the two together.
The times that you're showing on this slide, does that relate to the first or
Not
second
all
event
these breaks,
on the
but this
text stream
is
data, the first
dumb.
or second triggering event?
Sorry,
The first
Baker.
event.
Do you characterize the first event in any way?
I want to yell all the time.
I call it the 3-point
Me
turn.
too.
In addition to the data you analyzed, was there any other information you saw that evidenced or supported that a 3-point turn occurred at the area depicted in your slide?
Right. We have a whole series of GPS data with heading angles, as well as a description that Ms. Reed gave in an interview.
The time that you have.
So her eyewitness report.
Consider the SD card ignition on and the running time. What clock is that based on?
It's my understanding that's a clock in the infotainment system. And then we are ultimately trying to also tie it back to the clock on his cell phone.
Mr. O'Keefe's
cell phone, correct.
Do you have any understanding whether all devices have the exact same clock?
So it's my understanding they do not. In my discussions with Mr. Burgess, reading reports, that they can have, there can be as much as 30 seconds to a minute of variation.
Objection.
Minute?
Sustained.
No.
Have you ever heard
Your Honor, that answer.
Sure. Jurors disregard that answer.
Have you ever heard the term variance before?
I have.
What do you understand that to be?
That means differences from the answer,
I'm sorry, differences from what?
from typically the correct answer. Like meaning that a given data point has variance in terms of how it's measured, when it's measured. So different measurement device can have a different.
We don't talk about the monotonic clock anymore. Forget that. That was last year.
Variance around the actual true number.
You mentioned on the slide a time of 12:23:38.
Correct.
In O'Keefe's cell phone data, at point 154, approximately 12:23:58.
Correct.
Is there a difference between the clock on the Lexus TechStream data and that of Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone?
There is.
When you developed the slide, did you have the benefit of more detailed information about data point 154?
I did not receive that until May 8th.
Did you later learn more information, more specific information?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to show an exhibit to Mr. Welcher that's already been admitted.
Okay.
It's 192A. Ms. Gilman, can we start with 192B? Dr. Welcher?
Yes, we'll come over.
So now he's going to testify based on Burgess's report that he didn't see.
Yeah, this doesn't seem right, but.
Which means that him and Brennan has been looking at this and planning what to say about Burgess's report.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we know they have.
But again, he made up a timestamp that I ran with because I didn't look into the time and confirm they were right. I relied on Dr. Burgess, which is fine if he has a solid way of proving it. His way of proving it was I looked at a data point and decided this is when something happened. So all you're building on is sand.
Not to mention the approximate mileage. Everything else has been approximated. None of it. None of
What you
this
have missed so
clears
far,
anything up.
I couldn't tell you because no one understands what he's talking about.
Dr. Welcher, if you could take us back to slide 30.
Well, he changed it, but he said he didn't read it, I think. He isn't
And
supposed
so
to
we
read it.
understand you mentioned there are two triggering events. Is this the first one or the second one?
It's the first one.
Is that the one you've labeled the 3-point turn?
Correct.
And where did that happen? What street?
Cedar Crest.
At this 3-point turn triggering event, there is a time in red, 12:23:38.
Correct.
Where is that time taken from?
That's coming from the cell phone of Mr. O'Keefe at point 154.
Okay. And is there another time on there?
I mean, I do the math between those two.
Okay. Could you make that a little larger? Could you zoom in so we can
Sure.
see it better?
So there's an infotainment time of 12:36, I guess another time, to answer your question. Then we have,
The 12:36, what does that indicate? What's that relevant to?
that's when the text stream data is basically turned on, plus or minus a little bit.
When you say the text stream, is that relative to when the car turned on?
Correct.
Okay.
So when the car turned on, then we
Let me put it this way. I don't think Brennan understands one word of what he just, kind of like Alan Jackson said, is there something you want to ask me to ask you to kind of get the expert to say the right thing? I bet you he has got a cheat sheet, and he doesn't understand what any of this means, because this is within 19.2 seconds of John O'Keefe's cell phone data. What is this? It's just something, it's the same, but we can't prove it.
add the time for the trigger. So what we have is we have data in the text stream that shows the speed, the position, the steering of the vehicle on that trigger. And so we're trying to match the timing and the description of what the vehicle was doing with the text stream, the infotainment, and the cell phone data.
Is the data that you analyze regarding the speed, the direction, and the timing to determine whether this was consistent with a three-point turn?
Yes.
Okay. Continue, please. And if you can enlarge that, because it's hard to see back here.
This used to be a 400-page slide that they demanded he made smaller. Then he made it into 144 pages. Then they said, no, we told you to make it shorter. Then he made it into 44 slides. And I think he did that by just merging 25 slides into one slide at a time.
Sure is. Okay, so again, we are looking at event 1162-1. The information in blue is speed. It comes out of the text stream in kilometers an hour, converted to miles per hour, feet per second, looked at the total distance traveled, shift position. So in the text stream data, a shift position of 1 indicates you're in drive. A shift position of 2 indicates you're in reverse.
There's no zeros. What would a zero indicate?
0 is usually neutral, and I believe 3 is park. So there's also data.
You're an expert. Beliefs is something we do in church on Sundays. You are paid a handsome penny to know. I hate him approximately and believe this is science. This should be replicable by everyone who takes your report. They should be able to do your study. If you're basing it on beliefs, I could just say, well, I think God moved him.
On the acceleration of the vehicle. So basically, what is the effect of whatever you're doing in terms of stepping on the gas or not stepping on the gas? And then there's also information on the steering of the vehicle. So again, there's trigger 5 seconds before, 5 seconds after. So
I'm not a big car. Do you know cars, Valhalla?
Not really.
Engine
RPM
reps data. 1,000 RPM, that's
Very
idling
small.
or less than idling in my old Opel.
Yes. All yes.
600
tiny
RPMs.
RPMs.
My car is trying to get itself to start again.
So when you're
it's
like
really-
jumping a car, right? Like if you've got jumper cables connected to a dead battery or whatever, you want to get that RPM to like 2,000 and hold it there. And that's not a whole lot, but it's higher than any of these numbers.
When I have mine in fifth gear going 130 kilometers an hour, I'm doing close to 3,000 RPMs.
Yeah.
It's a little shitty engine. But 600 RPMs,
that's tiny. Like
that's almost dying, right?
yeah, I
Is
don't
she
even
going
think
really, really slow?
I don't even think my RAM would idle at that speed. Like
No.
I
Maybe it's because it just seems very low RPM wise. What do I know?
Does that mean she's going slow? I mean, I suck.
yes.
I don't know
That
anything
means
about
it's
cars.
very
Yes.
very little acceleration. Very
That
little.
means your engine is idling.
Okay, I get idle. I'm just all of this block text, all of this numbers. I'm telling you, the jury is lost. All I want to see is a cute computer graphic that's going to show John doing a pirouette, landing on by the fire pole, and that's our flagpole, and that's it. I don't want to see this man's charts. I don't want to see anything. I want to see a computer graphic of John getting, pirouetted into the snow.
Well, it's not snow. Let's just not
Okay,
talk about
the
snow.
ground.
No, park is forward, 2 is reverse, 3 is park. He believes.
And 0 is neutral, possibly.
Yeah, 0 is neutral. Yeah. What does brake SV? What does that mean?
SW.
SW. Yeah, sorry, I call it V because we don't have a W in Denmark. But does well, we'll probably find out if we listen.
Over here, a positive number equals a leftward steer. So you can see we have in the forward velocity or forward motion in drive, goes forward with leftward steer, stops, shifts into reverse, and then continues with the rightward steer back.
Could you take us over to the left of that data? When you look at the number 1162-1 as an event, can a key cycle, or when a car is turned on, power ignition on until the point is turned off, whatever amount of time, can it have more than one triggering event?
Yes, you can have lots of triggering events. In this case, it has 2. On a key cycle 1164, there's 11. On 1167, there's 10.
If you could move a little bit to the right on this, is there something you can see on here that caused the triggering event in some of the data?
Yes. So if you look at the triggering, the indication of what this trigger was, what you see is accelerator opening ratio, which is basically, you can think of it as how much you're stepping on the gas pedal. And so if it exceeds, in this case, 30% quicken time after shipping into reverse, that tells the system, hey, we might need to start recording this data. So
Accelerating open ratio 0. So the car is standing still while going 8 miles per hour.
Yeah, this doesn't make any damn sense.
And here you have it's open 31% and
In
doesn't
neutral.
move. Doesn't move. No, it's not in neutral. It's in reverse. It's a 2.
But Baker,
I was
remember,
looking
it's
at the wrong
5
spot. My
seconds
bad.
before. So is that
bad.
5 seconds before the 30? It went to 6 to 31.
The triggering event happens when she hits the accelerator to 31.5% and the car doesn't move. And then she goes up to 50% and then it starts moving at a negative rate. That must be in reverse. 2.49 miles per hour. So there should be a triggering event in a bit that shows 24.3 miles per hour in this column at the next motion. What's happening, even Alessia will find cross-hat. I think he probably started it way more than we do.
So what you can see, it went into
he probably
reverse,
understands it.
and then within a very short amount of time, accelerated pedal went above that 30%. That's what caused the T or the trigger in the text stream data.
You mean to
Roll
tell me
next
that
to
at 50%
31.5,
acceleration, it's only
engine
going 4
RPM
miles
data.
an hour?
Can you explain to us what that is?
In
Sure,
reverse.
that's how many revolutions per minute the
That
engine's
seems
turning.
insane.
The more gas, is it generally the higher the RPM?
Correct. There's going to be a little lag. Your car doesn't move instantaneously. You have to step on the gas, then the RPMs go up, and then it starts going faster.
If you could explain to us
Yeah, that doesn't make
the
any
total
sense.
distance and
No.
distance travel columns, how do you read that?
Sure. So we know the speed at various times. We know from this data
Yeah, I noticed that as well. I'm thinking, what? Well, hopefully maybe we're reading everything wrong.
That there is,
No, we saw the topographical map. It's a flat road.
you can see half a second between each one of these timestamps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 data points at half a second. That's the 5 seconds of pre-crash data. So if you know you're going so many miles per
Sorry, pre-crash data. I would have objected. It's just a pre-triggering data.
hour.
That was the PCS thing.
Again, I converted it to feet per second. Feet per
Pre-collision,
second.
he called it earlier.
You're going so many feet per second for half a second, for example. You just multiply those two together and it tells you how far you went. So what I'm doing is looking at speed traveling during the interval. That's during this short time period. And then I add it all together here for total distance traveled.
You mentioned that when the data is captured, it's limited to 10 seconds.
How? Wait.
When we look at the top-
Oh, the kilometers. Okay. I was like, how in the hell? Because the blue, remember, y'all, blue is everything that he put in. Blue is guesstimated by this man. I was trying to figure out how he came up with different speeds, but that's because he converted kilometers to miles per hour. That's where.
All of this block
But-
text is
But why does, again, the car is idling and not moving, and then the trigger comes on when it goes into reverse. What?
top
Wouldn't
row
that
of
trigger
JDW.
event be located when it gets to the 30%
Yeah, well, the
accelerator?
30% isn't on this one. It's out here on the right. So you can't see the 30% here.
View vehicle speed MPH, it's 9.94. Is that 9.94 miles per hour?
It is.
Can we tell whether it was going faster or slower before this data?
We generally cannot.
It's not at this
I mean, you might
point. This
have
is the
some-
3-point turn.
It looks like it's slowing down. And then you see right here,
Okay.
this brake switch application. So you have two things relative to braking.
Brake switch.
You have a brake switch, which is simply whether the brake is on or off, just enough pressure to make the brake light come on. And then you have brake oil pressure, which gives you some idea of how much pressure is in the system, which is a rough indication for the braking. But then what you see here is the longitudinal acceleration or deceleration. This is speeding up or slowing down. So generally a minus sign is a slowing or accelerating in reverse.
And for the bottom of those columns, I'd asked you whether or not at the beginning of the window, if you had any other information.
It's either
Is the same
slowing
situation
or
for the end
accelerating in
of
reverse.
that window that's captured?
Correct. So at the end of this window, you can see
doesn't
it's still
seem
going about 8.7 miles an hour when the trigger stopped. So after that trigger plus 5 seconds, the system said we no longer need to monitor it. Things have returned to an okay state. And so then it stops monitoring the system.
Based on your analysis and review and looking at this data, did you come to a conclusion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty whether or when this event occurred as it is portrayed in the data?
Yes, I did.
And could you share with the jury, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, when did this occur?
So
Regional
this,
engineering.
you want time-wise or location or both?
Start with location, then time?
So it happened on Cedar Crest. It happened between cell phone data points 154 and 155. And it's a 3-point turn on Cedar Crest. And it occurred, according to the text stream data, about 12 minutes, 23 seconds after the vehicle was turned on. So
And do you have an understanding of the variance between the Lexus clock and Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone?
yes,
And what is that variance time?
21 to 29 seconds.
And so the Lexus clock at 21, 23, 38, what time would that put Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please.
We think so, Star Chris.
This is what everyone is guessing, but maybe the Aruba sisters are coming. We don't know. No, there will be another triggering event. It's just to zero in the clock.
Yeah, the first trial is when they claimed she did a 3-point turn and hit him. This is a different trial.
No. The 3-point turn was before we started the first trial, because Matt McCabe said he saw a 3-point turn outside in the snow. And then they changed it and said she moved forward and then backed up 24.3 miles per hour. But what we have been talking about today so far, even though he has said crash a lot of times, we are still on Cedar Crest doing the 3-point turn. Then she has to move up to Fairview 34, wait there for X amount of minutes, then moved forward. Remember the last trial they said at least 60 feet. This time I think they said 35 feet. And then guns it in reverse and hits him. So that trigger event should be there. Remember they had like 76% speeder throttle in Trooper Paul's report last year.
Are we all caught up?
I think so.
We're waiting. Court is on a short break.
Well, I have learned absolutely jack squat, other than this guy has a Garmin watch.
I'm thinking we are actually learning he should have gone to medical school.
Y'all, I usually have like 16 pages of notes by now. I have 2 because my brain is like, meh. Yeah, when are we going to hear that she yelled at him, damn you for Bella's mom, and then floored it to...
Where in the text stream can you see she yelled about Bella's mom and John being an MFer?
Also, is he going to explain how John was tying his shoes, had his phone in his hand, and a cocktail glass?
A glass in
to throw
both
at the
hands
car?
as well, while chucking a glass and kicking the tail light.
Also, that glass that they pieced together, that was not the same cylindrical vase glass that Karen had. Kind of, I mean, it went from a grower shower to a cold.
Choppy.
Yeah. It was cold in Canton Police Department. That's what happened.
Because, and that's why I wish that the defense have said, did you go to the waterfall and see if they had these type of glasses? Because that would be the natural thing to do, go and say, oh, yeah, they have this rock glass. Totally,
Yeah,
and that was what she had.
And then John may have had, something on the rocks because Karen seems more like a vodka drinker.
We will actually see a triggering event for which Trooper Paul claimed is where you can see the impact, because there is a 10-degree deviation or something like that while going 24.3 miles per hour. 10% on a steering wheel, 10 degrees is this. Pretty sure if you hit a deer, you would do a little more than, oh. Am I wrong, or do I see a lot of new names? No, Valhalla and Mo have been here for a long time. Jamie, not so much.
She comes and goes.
Fair point. I am often
I've been
wearing
with you
wigs,
for
so I do
longer
look
than anyone. What are you talking about? Just not this trial, because
This trial, the last trial, the trial before that, and
anytime Valhalla's on stream.
whatever.
yeah, we had to have that mediation meeting where Mo had to sit down and say, hey, you are like my kids. Valhalla, Jamie just touched your no-no spot because she thought you like it. And Jamie,
Oh.
stop touching his no-no spot. It's just because you have an innie, not an outie, you are not allowed to go and touch it.
You need to cut it out.
That was, well, I just told them that I was going to turn the car around and we wouldn't get Frosties. And they were both like, no, Mom, it was her. And I was like, if I hear another word, I'm taking my flip-flop off.
I'm going to go Irish on your ass. And I'm not talking about from Ireland, but from
Chunkla.
Texas. And
listen, Turtle. I want to do today.
Look, that's not going to be not funny for today.
I know.
I have to go back and watch the stream. Was it good?
It was pretty all right. We had fun.
We did an
Yeah.
excellent
Better
job. We were
than when I'm
professional and on topic and cromulent, as cromulentness could be.
You're going to take me out drinking. Deal? Who? Who?
I hope it's me, because good Lord, I'm going to need a drink after this.
Oh,
I was
well, I'm
all
not slow.
I was all for the mediation situation until Mo brought out this shirt, and then I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not. I draw the line at the get along shirt. I'm over it.
That's why I made him a get-along jumper.
When Jamie suggested that we use the get along tidy whities, I thought that's too much, Jamie.
It was a little too much
You
togetherness.
like
We
it.
did-
Don't even pretend.
Yeah, but it's just weird that you say, "Oh, we already when we take these tidy whities on, and it's the get along pants. We don't need our own pants under."
Yeah.
And I thought
Nothing
that's weird.
underneath.
Jamie, please don't do that. This is why we end up in HR rooms
Look,
all
I
the
didn't
time.
make y'all do the trust fall, mostly because, you know, I don't trust us to catch each other.
I don't trust you.
I would definitely pull out my phone and just watch her fall on her butt.
Pretty much. Like everyone's...
Interesting.
Interesting. Here's the problem with this expert. He's not breaking anything down in a way
Yes.
that is accessible to normal people.
But did
While
you see
he
his? He had his slide, Mo, and they were really, really informative.
No,
They're
his
not.
slide was congested with information, so my ADHD brain said we're not even going to try.
This is why I like the ARC experts. I thought it was going to
Yes.
be a bit much, but watching them, they talked so simply. And we even said that when we were watching them the first time. We were just like, oh my God, like we actually understand this. And this is stuff that's way over my head. So,
And that's the true sign of intelligence. If you can communicate very technical, very high-minded ideas in a way that is easily digestible and conveyed to people, that is intelligence. That is your ability to, you know, transmit information. This man, all I have learned is that he has a Garmin watch. He took, like Littlefoot and Mr. Burgess, he went on a 17-year quest to get his, you know, PhD, and he's from California.
well, yeah, because to me, I don't honestly understand what he means by triggering event.
Yeah, he hasn't defined what a trigger event is. He hasn't explained when they would occur. He jumped right into like a 2.0 class instead of a 100 class. If that
Yeah,
makes
because
any
like
sense.
to me, if you say triggering an event, I'm going to think that's when you are getting some kind of indication on the computer that there was an impact.
Yeah.
Not the speed went up or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm so confused.
Can we stipulate to the rest of his testimony and bring on Cross?
No, because then
Please.
they will have to agree with it, so you can't stipulate to it.
I know.
The funny thing is, will Brennan try and put his entire slideshow into evidence, because he kind of effed up when he allowed
Mr. De Sobra's.
De Sobra's entire report to go into evidence. So now the jury
Is
can
De
sit there and
Sobra a
read it.
doctor or a mister? I don't want to do it wrong.
No. Yeah, he's not articulating very well for a layperson to understand what he's talking about.
No,
And
I'm
it
used to
brings
sitting
us
at those events and talking to other biomechanical engineers. You need to talk to people, normal people who have no idea what
here's
you're talking
it
about.
this is this case in a microcosm. That over bloated PowerPoint, they don't have enough actual data that can explain how. They can't just say this is exactly how we plotted it out, give us a video, show how it happened, and say if you have any questions, we have a detailed report, I did all the mathology. But because they don't have this clear, defined case, they have to chaff, like Valhalla said. This is in a microcosm, in a PowerPoint slide. This is this entire case. A bunch of useless facts that don't mean anything to this case spent hours on. It's just, this is like the worst Monday. This is the Mondayest Monday that has ever Mondayed, and it's not a Monday.
It's Tuesday, Mo. It's Tuesday.
I know,
Well,
but they bring us back
feels
from
like
a
a Monday.
5-day break where I don't have to deal with their stupidity, and then they come back and they put the stupidity up to a level 13 on Spinal Tap, and I know it only goes to 11, but this is a 13.
And Serenity,
Oh.
you missed that. I think everyone on the panel kind of had I would say a hemotuba in the brain.
We do.
I do.
Why are we on break
Oh,
just
I will
before
pass.
lunch? Because there's something going on at sidebar. And
Yeah,
Bev
unless
called
he
the
asks for a
sidebar.
sidebar.
Bev called the sidebar, so she's probably well,
Well,
maybe
Leslie
she.
said, "Can I see you at sidebar, or can I see you about this or whatever?" But yeah, like it must be intense.
Yeah, maybe it was just to say, hey, can we just send the jury out? But she would do that in open court. She wouldn't say, can I see you at sidebar? I don't know. There's probably, I don't know what's been said today at sidebar. But first of all, we spent what amount of time on the sidebar, and then they went out, came back, and Bev said, you want us at sidebar again? And then she allowed the voir dire. So at least 2 hours was spent on that. And
It was an hour. Well, yeah.
yeah,
it was
roughly 2, because I came home at 4 o'clock. No, 3. Yeah, 4 o'clock my time. So that would have been at 10 o'clock your time. And then we sat for at least half an hour more. And then we did half an hour voir dire.
Yeah, the voir dire didn't start till 10:35 my time, like an hour, or 10:25 rather, an hour and a half almost after court was supposed to start. They finally got going.
And
Y'all
but I'm
haven't missed
just,
much.
but I'm just thinking, Alessimo, he was hot under the collar. Normally, he's not that. He's very level-headed and very long-winded, but he seemed like Daddy got a little bit angry.
He was heated about something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I hope
that
he kind of slows down a bit when he's actually, because it can come across in front of the jury, I think, as like pretty.
he's pretty good at being very, even when that doctor was, the neurosurgeon was being an absolute douche, he was just like, thank you, sir. You're a neurosurgeon. And he's like, yes, I am. I am a neurosurgeon. I have 4 surgeries tomorrow. So could we get along with this?
Well, like I said with Burgess, like I felt like it was the nicest, like butt ripping
Destruction
ever,
ever.
like done. He was so nice about it, but he was so good.
And are
That's
you
what he needs to
aware,
do with this
dear
guy.
sir, that the college that you claim to have graduated from doesn't in fact have the major you claim to have graduated with?
Well, that was a mistype. You see, in my quest to the Great Valley and knowledge, I got stuck by the mountains that burn, and I met the ghost of my dead mother, and then I found the Great Valley. But what about your degree? Well, see, what had happened was
I actually talked to the university. They are pursuing getting that degree on their schedule, so that's why I put it in there.
Yeah.
Because it's my alma mater. I really want to go there again, and they are pursuing making that course available. So I don't think I wrote it the wrong way.
Mr. Mo this weekend said, I'm going to start working out. And I was like, are you pursuing your 6-pack? And then, of course, I started uproariously laughing to myself. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, you've told me not to talk about the Karen Reed trial, so it's an inside joke between me and myself.
Exactly, Holly. That was the whole thing in the first, when me and Baker first started watching this. It was always like,
Yeah.
there's the 3-point turn in front of the house, but we come to find out it isn't. But Matt McCabe said it was.
Yeah.
So it's funny that
Matt McCabe testified he saw the tracks from a 3-point turn outside the house.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure if you go back and read either the grand jury, what we heard from the grand jury from Jen McCabe, or maybe it was her interview with, did she do an interview with Tully where she mentioned she saw the 3-point turn?
The tracks on the road.
No. Matt McCabe said he saw the tracks in the road, but I'm almost, again, it's been 3 years. There's a lot of stuff up there in this case, but I'm almost certain that at some point, Jen McCabe has said to someone, and I can't remember it from the grand jury. It's not from the first trial, I know that, but somewhere in some testimony, Jen McCabe said she saw the 3-point turn. I could be mistaken, and it was only the tracks as well.
I
But
think
Matt
it was
McCabe,
just the tracks.
no, I'm pretty sure in an interview before, because Karen Reed said something about a 3-point turn and going back the way she came from. That's what she thought she did. And then Matt McCabe said, I saw the tracks from it.
So I remember her giving that whole testimony about how she looked over the yard to see tracks in the road going like this, making the hand movement. But that's when they got her about like, so your vision only goes over things, not across things like it should. And
also, there was no snow on the road to make tracks.
Yeah, that's another thing, because everyone is still, it could be because the tires were spinning because of there was no snow. We know there was no snow on the road other than minutes. If a Lexus gets taken out by that amount of snow and can't keep traction, you need to get tires that's not slicks.
I mean, I agree. It could for like a millisecond, but not like an extensive amount of time. No way.
So let me get this straight, if I
Brandon,
can. Go ahead.
No, I'm just, Brandon is correct. She said when we went into the first trial, they said when she swung back is when she hit him and then moved off. And she didn't notice it because she backed in and might have thought she hit the curb. That's the explanation. I'm pretty sure maybe it's Lally who said it.
Yeah, they were really banking. That 3-point turn was the point of impact, I thought, was in the first, before the trial. And then he changed it up, obviously. Because remember, we were like, what was this 3-point turn? And then when they started going, we're like, oh, they're just abandoning the 3-point turn now. So.
This is a dumb question, but Karen's Lexus probably had all the bells and whistles, correct?
We don't know.
Okay. Well, most newer SUVs have a backup warning, and my backup warning on I know it's not the same, it's a Ford, but on the Transit.
Yeah, she had a 2021, right? Or 2021?
Yeah, 2021.
On the Transit.
My 19 truck has a backup alert. I mean, come on.
It not only has video, but it also has, beep warnings. So the beeping gets more intense if I get closer to something, which I often need. Let's be real.
Yeah, me too.
But it also goes to the periphery. It does go to the periphery because my kids will have like bikes or their Tonka trucks out. And if it catches one of those riding cars in the periphery, it'll say beep, 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 beep. And I have to haul my butt out and go, put it. So I guess, how can she back into him without the beep? My brain hurts.
Well, but that's what they claim. Remember, Lally said when you go to the blah blah,
all right,
the viewing, pay close attention to the infotainment system. And everyone was, what the hell are they talking about? And then I believe it was either Plevin or one of the ones who has a close connection to the MSP, starting spreading rumors about that you can undo something by pressing something. And they claim she did that when she moved out that morning. That's why she hit John's car Or maybe she's just a woman who was in a hurry and didn't care. Oh, the beeping is just annoying. Why does it keep beeping? Because you're getting closer to things. Well, I'm far off enough. And again, remember, women has a different depth perspective because they have been told this is 6 inches.
Yeah, it's
We
true.
have been
Very true.
confused for a lot.
I
Yeah.
let mine beep for a hot minute. And I'm like, uh-oh.
So, Mr. Brennan, you can continue. The objection's overruled.
Of course.
There was no objection.
Well, I think
Well,
that's what they were
there
having the
must have been a
sidebar about.
sidebar.
Yeah,
was
he
going to-
objected. He objected and wanted to go to sidebar. Took a long time.
Dr. Welch, could you take us to slide 30?
Well, only 14 more to go.
Oh God.
Could you zoom
You're
in a little
assuming
bit
they're all
on the
numbered
right
1 through 40,
photograph
whatever.
Under the right. Okay. You were explaining to us the time relevance of 12:23:38. And could you tell us again, remind us, what is 12:23:38 referring to?
The 12:23:38 is syncing the text stream time to real world time. So we know how long the text stream is on. We know when the vehicle was turned on. So we're adding those two together. So if you add the 12:12:36 to, for example, 11 minutes, 2.8 seconds for when the end of the trigger is, that gives you 12:23:38. So the end of the trigger in real world time, no longer in the running clock, is now 12:23:38
Based on the infotainment clock?
based on the infotainment clock
And that's from the Lexus.
from the Lexus.
Sustained.
And where's that from?
The Lexus.
Thank you. The 12:23:58 number, what's the significance of that?
So that is Mr. Keefe's cell phone data at point 154. Again, from the original data we had just at 154 and 155, not the in-between points. So
And at the bottom in parentheses, explain to us what that means.
sure, if you look at where the text stream math works out to be, 12:23:38.8, and compare that to 12:23:58, the difference between those two is 19.2 seconds.
The difference between which clocks?
Between what the text stream infotainment system would show compared to what point 154 on Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone is.
And based on new data, do you now have information about what the variance, the difference is between the clock on the Lexus infotainment and the clock on Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone?
Yes,
And what is that?
Going to allow that.
it's, you need to advance the text stream clock 21 to 29 seconds
You need to advance it 21 to 29 seconds for why? Why do you need to do that?
because the cell phone is ahead 21 to 29 seconds.
After you advance the text stream ahead 21 to 29 seconds, can you then compare the information, the time that's coming from the infotainment system Lexus to Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone from his iPhone?
Correct. That's what you need to have an apples to apples comparison. You need to get them on the same time clock.
Thank you. You can proceed.
How did Brennan's audio get worse
So I
now?
think we left off here. So that's 1162-1. So what we have is
Yes.
we have the cell phone data, the original cell phone data on the right-hand side. And then from that text stream data, you know, we have whether it's going forward, we have the speeds, we have the steering angles. So from that information, we ran a simulation to show you what the text stream data means. This is what the 10 seconds of data is. And again, just because the simulation stopped, that's just where the text stream data ends. Again, as we showed you earlier, the car's still moving. That's just the last data point we have. So what that text stream data shows is matching a 3-point turn on that Cedar Crest Street. So we have the vehicle motion, the timing data consistent with the interview statements about making a turn, 3-point turn.
Can you take us back to the data chart and show the 2 points that you just mentioned, the turning? Where's that reflected in the data?
Sure. So you can see
You'll have to enlarge that. I'm sorry, Doctor.
column N, that's the shift position. So that's looking, we start off going forward right here. And you can see at the start of the simulation, we're going about 9.94 miles an hour. And then
Without
You're muted.
accelerator opening. Does the speed increase without the accelerator being pressed?
Well, I guess if you're going downhill.
But she's going. You still need speed to get into the driveway and get back out.
So accelerator ratio opening is at 0 when she's going 9.
Yeah, she has her brakes on.
How is
She's the car is going 14 miles per hour, and then she does a 3-point. That's a pretty good 3-point turn. She's just hey, we need to go the other way, and she doesn't stop, put it in, and put it in. She just without
No.
she has a brake on. Well,
We're going about
do you go
9.94
to park when you do a 3-point turn, or do you just go reverse and drive?
well, it depends on who you are, but I have a manual stick, so I would stop at the side of the road, then I'll put it in first gear, move into the driveway, then I would have to put it in reverse out, put it into first gear, and start going again. You can do it in just drive and reverse, but it's still how she's braking when she moves into the driveway, slowing down, and then she's completely stopped for 2 seconds and then moves backwards because she slams her accelerator 6% and then 31%. But at this point, her accelerator is in neutral position. And why doesn't the revs pick up when she guns the engine? Well, I don't understand
miles
cars.
an hour. And then as you start a 3-point turn, you generally start, in this case, if you're going to the left, with the left turn. So you can see we have this steering angle here, then the transmission. So again, we have the brake application. So you're coming in, but you're slowing down, and you get down to a speed of approximately 0. Shift into reverse, back up, and then start to turn.
Sorry, y'all. So she goes forwards here. So she's braking here, then she goes forward while putting it in reverse, and then she does 0.5 meters per second, guns the engine and slows down, and then speeds up, and then she releases the throttle again and starts moving forward. What am I not understanding in this? Negative is backwards, positive is forward.
So she's going backward all this time? That's a lot of backwarding.
No, but it could also mean braking, which would be in line with... This is when the brake pedal is applied. So she could be slowing down, and then she releases... No, she starts going... She starts doing a forward motion while putting it in reverse and still having the brake on. And then she starts going backwards. And then
positive numbers were acceleration.
Yeah, and minus could be deceleration or reverse.
Reverse, correct.
But again, she goes from 6% to 31% to 45% without the engine thinking, I need to do something. And then it jumps to twice the RPMs.
Well, wait a minute.
Where
Didn't
it
they
gets
stay
stuck
there for like forever? Wasn't this 3-point turn?
This is 10 seconds. This is 10 seconds.
But I remember, so when we were timing something else with a GPS, we were talking about how long it took her to do the 3-point turn. This is looking like it was fairly quick, and she didn't even, shift gear all that much. She just kind of
Burgess's report doesn't have any movement for 8 seconds. Here it's instantaneously. I don't know.
The other direction as you're backing up. So again, you want the rear to go to the right. You turn the steering wheel to the right.
This isn't when she hits John. This is a 3-point turn.
And then as you start to pull around and pull forward, you turn back to correct for the steering. And so that's what this shows. So again, if you put it all into
The 1, 2, 3 is to indicate backwards, forwards, neutral, and on and off.
a simulation program, the speeds, the shifting,
Stimulation
the distance.
program?
You might only have that
Stimulation?
10-second window of data and the steering angle for that Lexus.
That is not
That's
a
what it
to-scale Lexus.
Can you enlarge the photograph
That's a
on the right
huge-
with the data points and explain to us the significance of that?
Is this the
Sure. So again, what
same-
we're trying to do is we have the infotainment, we have a text stream. We're now trying to see how that correlates to Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone. So we had originally very coarse data points, 154 and 155.
I have to correct everyone who keeps thinking this is when she hit John. This is the 3-point turn 12 seconds before she allegedly hit John.
Yeah,
This has
is not
nothing
fair.
to do with the impact. This has all to do with fixing time with John's phone.
Yeah, they're using
It-
this as a reference point so that they can deduce what time actually happened between all of the devices. We have not come to an impact at all yet.
And yes, someone asked, is this all to confuse? Yep, it's just to confuse because you will then think they showed you something. Because they're going to show you something in a bit that might need a little more believing. This guy should have been a priest.
There's additional data points between here. So we're looking at how well
He might
does
have
ARC's
attained the
predicted time
priesthood of sorts.
compared to those two. So with the cell phone correction, you end up with the text stream data at 12:23:59 to 12:24:07. So that's actually right in between these two data points. And so we know 154 was closest, but it's on the right-hand side of the road. 155 is when it's turned around and heading back in a southerly direction. So the cell phone data corroborates the text stream timing data in conjunction with the infotainment system data.
Thank you. Please continue.
Only if you believe this is what happened, because
Okay, so we talked about 1162-1. That's the first trigger on the text stream. So we're going to go to 1162-2. So I've highlighted that in yellow. So we're now talking about the second trigger. So this is on the same ignition cycle. It's on ignition cycle 1162. We have that same continuous running clock, but we've now synced it to real world clocks. So instead of the running clock, we now have some information on the real world clock. So at
Because
this
trust
time,
me, bro.
we know the ignition has been on for 19 minutes and 2 seconds. So at the trigger, 19 minutes and 2 seconds. And again, we have 5 seconds either side of that. So between 18 minutes, 57.6 seconds to 19 minutes, 7.5 seconds.
Could you enlarge that, please?
Which part?
That part where your arrow is. You were speaking about the clock. Could you explain that so the jury can see?
Sure. So again, this is continuous from when the time comes on. I just converted it to minutes and seconds here, so you can see how long it's been on. This is the mileage. These are the speeds over here. And this is some information on how far it traveled. Again, we have the plus minus on the steering. That gives us some information on the steering. Really, there's very little steering going on at this point. Slight leftward steer.
Dr. Welcher, did you determine how long after the first trigger, that 3-point turn, that this second trigger occurred?
he just said 19 seconds.
Yes.
Well,
3-point turn
19 seconds, so you just have to
occurred about
subtract it.
8 minutes after.
You said the 3-point turn occurred
minutes
I'm sorry,
after?
this event, I misspoke. 11.2 occurred about 8 minutes after.
after the 3-point turn.
Correct.
About?
Can you walk us through this data?
Hit him 8 minutes
Sure.
after she 3-point turned it.
Jamie, again, it was not the 3-point turn they claimed was the hit. This is the hit.
No, I meant 8 minutes after that.
Yes, so that would be 12:32.
All right, and another
2
4
minutes
hours
after
of
she
him
must have
explaining-
left to go back home and connect to the Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi does not run on guesstimated time compared to a GPS signal. It actually
Yeah.
runs on a fixed time.
Okay. So we have the accelerometer data here. I've highlighted a shift from drive to neutral to reverse.
I'm sorry, you're gonna need to zoom that in so we can see it.
Absolutely. We have information on the brake switch, brake oil pressure. We have the acceleration data here. And then from that information and using the acceleration data, calculating the speed at which it's backing up. The reason we have slightly different calculations here is we have some evidence that the wheel's slipping on the ground. So we need to use the accelerometer because the wheel speed is simply telling you the speed of the wheel. It's like if you're stationary burning rubber, the speedometer reads a certain speed, but you're not going anywhere. But the accelerometer tells you how much the vehicle's moving. So from all that information, we get information on how far the vehicle's traveled. We've done it in terms of total travel distance. We've done it relative to the start position.
I'm going to ask you to start on the columns on the left and take us through the information that you have regarding this second trigger.
Are they changing the distance traveled this time? And the steering signal is also different because it was 6 degrees left turn, then it switched to 6 degrees right turn, then it switched back to 6 degrees. I did a video about this.
I don't know, Baker. Honestly, let's just let him do his, craptastic little computery
Sorry.
thing.
During event, so if you can scroll all the way to the left.
All the way to the left?
Yep. Okay. So the first column regarding time, can you remind us again what that is?
So again, that's the continuous running clock.
And the second column in blue.
Do you notice anything about the trigger time?
Why is it?
Did he ever tell us why it's not formatted like every other time?
No.
Remember, everything in black is this. That's taken from the text stream. But why is it in a different format? Why is the cell bigger?
I don't know.
I know it's to fit this number, so it looks more impressive. But why isn't this 2.2 something?
I wonder if I don't see another whole number there. So I don't.
Yeah.
I guess they might have dropped the 0, but I don't see another example.
Well, it should be the same intervals because it records 5 seconds before, 5 seconds after. Everything here is done in half a second intervals. Then this one comes in
2
and have this is a 15 second gap, 15.15 second gap, and then it goes back to 0.30, and then it's back to 50.05. Why? I don't understand this.
That's where I take that time and convert it to what we more commonly use, minutes and seconds.
And now we have a key cycle event different than the 3-point turn. What's the number?
So this is now 1162-2. So again, it's technically in the system the same key cycle. I've called it 1162-2.
And the red number next to it to the right?
That's the mileage. So it's actually at the same mileage as 1162-1. So we know, obviously, they're within the same mile.
If you can scroll over a couple of columns. From your data, can you tell during that event how far the Lexus traveled during that event?
Yes.
And how do you do that?
So we have accelerometer data. We have velocity data or speed data back here. I've corrected for what you see down here is, and I go through this in a later slide, but right here you can see a significant increase in the RPMs, but yet the acceleration is dropping. So what that means is if your RPMs are going up and the speed's going up, that means you should be accelerating more. But what happens because the acceleration is dropping, that means what's actually happened is the wheel's slipping. So what I've done is I've used the accelerometer's data to calculate the speed once the vehicle is put into reverse. And once we know the speed, again, feet per second, we know every data point is half a second. So speed times time tells you how far you moved. Feet per second, feet divided by seconds times seconds gives you feet. That's how far you went. So you get how far you went in each interval. Then you get the total distance traveled. And so this is relative to the start. So 0 is the start. The vehicle goes forward about 34 feet. Then you see it basically stops in this area here, then begins to back up and ends up backing a total of 53 back from where it originally started. So if you add 53 to 34,
Why would you add?
you get 87. So the total motion, 34 forward, 53 back.
Got it.
The Lexus moved 87 feet.
That house isn't that big. You can't tell me
No,
that
that'd
is
be-
87 feet in the front yard.
She'd be blasted into the driveway in whatever vehicle was there.
She would be hitting Higgins' truck. That's why they didn't include Higgins' truck. And now they're saying 80 feet. That's the total. The last time they said 60 feet in reverse. This time it's these motherfuckers.
So all
Jesus.
of this blue is
Dr. Walker, when
his
you say-
evidence.
Everything here is what he puts in based on the black numbers.
The Lexus moved 83 feet total. Is that according to the data, or is that the entirety of the movement of that Lexus?
No, that's just from when the data starts to when the data ends. So if you look at when the data starts, you can see that the vehicle is actually going 13.67 miles an hour. When the data stops, the vehicle is still going 23 miles an hour.
So how far would it continue to travel after the point of impact? You can calculate this. You are a calculist.
And you can see,
I'm sorry.
you can still and see that it's still at 74% throttle. So, this is 3/4 of full throttle in reverse.
So to start with the distance traveled, if you can go to the top,
Not 3/4.
we see that the speed is 13.67. Is that where the data gets picked up?
That's where the first data point is. Again, the trigger is here. This is 5 seconds before the trigger.
Are you able to tell how fast or slow the vehicle is traveling before that data point in 5 seconds before the trigger?
No.
And likewise, on the bottom, the speed. At the end of the 10-second data points at 23.61, can you tell whether or not that speed stayed the same, increased, or decreased?
I mean, considering you're at 74% throttle, it likely increased. How much, I don't know.
Likely.
And you can see that up here, she's on the brake.
You can
Down here,
calculate
she's
that.
not on the brake.
Are you
And
an
so she's
expert or not?
not on the brake and at 74% throttle.
And what is the percentage of throttle that has to be initiated to cause a triggering event?
For a shift into rear and a rapid throttle application is 30%.
If you look at the next column.
I would
over,
like
you
it.
can go to
No,
the
I
top,
wouldn't
I
like a
think
shift
it's
in the
great
rear.
to see the engine RPM data. Could you explain that?
Sure. Again, that's the engine RPMs. And so, as I
He's
mentioned,
saying
you
the
have this
75%
jump
throttle
in engine
thing, like it's a
RPMs
big
and a
deal.
very dramatic jump in the
But we
recorded
just looked
speed of the
where she
vehicle.
had
But your
50%
wheels
throttle
are
and the car
slippy.
didn't
You're
even
going to push
respond.
more. Yeah.
When
Sorry,
she was
but-
doing the 3-point turn, the throttle opening went all the way to like 50-something%, and the vehicle hadn't moved yet or just started moving. Like he's
Yeah. Is the Lexus does it have a lot of horsepower? Because some cars you drive in and you push the pedal and it has a lot of giddy up, and then some don't, like the Ford Focus. Baker is actively sleeping. Oh, and thank you, Major Mo, for being.
I'm just actively really pissed off right now because this is such BS. Anime Rumpay over on Rumple. Will Baker just lost monetization, everyone. If you have it, please donate to the swear jar. Thank you, Anime. I don't think I lost monetization yet. I actually had forgotten to put monetization on when we started the show. But as a good grifter, I fixed that problem.
And thank you, Major Mom, for becoming a member of the Church of Mo. I believe you are now a Handworker United, so that's a union everyone should be in.
And Brandon says, this makes me hate USC even more. He has enough data to calculate everything he needs, but that was the best free education. Yes, Mo, not linear.
Hey, I got Brendan to agree with me. That deserves a thumbs up on his comment.
The acceleration is actually dropping. So again, that's a telltale sign that the tire is spinning because the vehicle is not being accelerated. And so I've used the accelerometer data. Again, if you just, so a process called integration, you integrate the accelerometer data, it will give you the velocity. So what I've done is it's called piecewise integration to get the speed data that takes into account the tire slippage, and from there calculate the speed or the position at each interval going across the top here.
I could stop you at your column that says JBW speed at each time step.
Yep.
If you go to the bottom, please.
We could have just had, you
So
had
does
me
your
at
data
if I could
indicate
stop you,
speed
Brennan,
is,
and then you kept talking.
changing
Yeah.
at the end of this 10-second event?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain.
Is the speed changing at the end of this event?
Yes.
How so?
Well, again, you can see it's increased about 2.7 miles per hour. And again, we know from what I already stated that that last time step, you're still at 74% throttle and you have zero brake application.
Is it possible from the data to tell how far the Lexus went forward before it went in reverse in total as far as feet?
He just said that.
Not in total, no. We just have this 10-second window. I can tell you what it did during this 10-second window.
Is it possible to tell how far it continued after the data?
No.
The shift position changes from 1 to 0 to 2. Can you again explain to us what that means?
Sure. 1 is drive, 0 is neutral, 2 is reverse. And then brake switch status, again, a 1 is you're on the brake pedal, enough to activate the brake lights. 0 is you're off the brake pedal.
Each one of those indicators, 1, 0, 2, how much time is for each of those?
0.5 seconds.
So can you tell how long the Lexus was in neutral for?
So again, it only occurs at one time step. And again, there's a little timing issue. Like we only have data every half second. You don't know exactly where in that time it was.
Okay, you can continue, Dr. Welcher.
Is that it?
Next slide or continue on this slide?
Unless there's something else you want to point out to the jury on this slide.
No, I'm good.
Well,
so
I need a
similarly, using this information to then try to tie it back to the cell phone data to make sure we have the real-time information. Again, this
has
was
to be
written
against the
back in
Geneva
January
Convention.
before
Someone
I got
call
the additional
them.
information. So what you can see is, I'll zoom in. Again, we're now talking about trigger 1162.2. We know that that's 18 minutes that the vehicle has been on, 18 minutes, 57 seconds, 19 minutes, 2 seconds. This is the range. Again, the plus or minus 5 seconds. The 19 minutes, 2 seconds is when the trigger occurred. Infotainment system, adding those two together, 12:36, plus the 19:7.5 indicates the end of 1162-2 is at 12:31:43.
That 12:31:43, is it based on the Lexus clock from the infotainment system?
It is. It would need to be corrected to the O'Keefe cell phone data.
And when you reconcile that variance of 21.29 seconds, what is the time?
You end up with 12:32:04. So if you simply take this and add 21 seconds to it and add 29 seconds to it, so you get between 12:32:04 and 12:32:12.
When you reconcile the two clocks and you have that range of 12:32:04 to 12:32:14.
12:32:12.
I'm sorry, 12:32:12. Does that simply accommodate the window of data, but not before and after?
Correct. So, again, even on John's O'Keefe cell phone, even within his cell phone, there's somewhere between 21 to 29 seconds difference on his cell phone. So even that one piece of instrumentation has some variance to it. So we know it's between 21 to 29 seconds at this approximate time. So this is taking into
Wait a
account
minute,
that
now his
variance.
cell phone has Tokyo Drift? What the hell?
Time window that you have is based on the data, and that's reflected in the 12:32:04 to 12:32:12.
Sustained.
Is there any other window you can accommodate with the data you have other than that 10-second window?
Yes.
What's that?
So I was given information about a final lock event on the phone.
Let's stick with this window if we can.
Okay.
Since you only have 10 seconds of data, is it possible from the Lexus clock data to have a larger window than this 10-second window?
No, the text stream will only give you a 10-second window, but it doesn't tell the whole story because the vehicle's still moving.
Understood. Okay, continue, please.
So I have this other event, a lock event, and the information I was given that's at 12:32:09. And so we have the text stream data ending at somewhere between 12:32:04 and 12:32:12, which puts this number right in the middle of that, more or less.
Continue.
Is this a good place to take a luncheon break? Certainly. Okay, so why don't we do that, George? So we'll take
Dear God,
45
thank you.
minutes for lunch.
Only 45 minutes, Bev. You wasted all of our
Thank you, Your Honor.
time.
Thank you very much.
You are muted.
So
I don't
Valhalla,
understand.
none of this is making sense. So basically, John's phone now has a 21 to 29 second drift in and of itself.
Maybe? I don't really
So
know.
what is time? I guess how's long to understand time?
It's whatever fits into their.
Well, he seems
You
to
know,
be able to do that, right? He seems to be able to say, these numbers don't add up. So I think it's because the wheel was spinning. And if we take that the wheel was spinning as fact, then we can go ahead and make these numbers over here line up to work. And it just, oh no, music, oh no, Marissa Baker, somebody come back and shut off the music.
Well, I think it's if they can play it, wouldn't it be copyright free? Or no, they would be douches and
No, they've got
copyright their own
licenses.
elevator music.
Yeah,
of
they
course.
they probably do it for this reason. God bless it, Baker. Where are you?
Well, we're trying to talk over it as much as we can, and honestly, I can
trying.
do that.
Oh no.
So, yeah. So Valhalla, I guess the jury is going to be so confused. I mean, basically, the state has thrown nothing but a whole doggone bunch of numbers at them. And even if you're studiously taking notes like I have been up till today when I just couldn't do it, none of this makes sense. None of the witnesses are in an order that you can understand them. You're going to have to be going back and forward and honestly collating your notes to put all of the people where they need to be so you kind of have a idea of where they are.
Well, that
They
would
should've-
be if the case made sense, right? If you're presenting a case that was
Yeah. So as a juror, could I bring my own binder in? Because I'd have highlighters and everything. I'd be like, Bev, no, I don't need your notebook. I'm bringing in my own.
I went to the toilet on the totally wrong time.
apparently.
Well, it happens.
I was trying to
It
be loud
happens.
enough that it didn't
Yeah, we
register,
were.
but
We were trying to talk through.
I don't think it's
So,
gonna work. We'll just
Well-
trim that segment out. No big deal. Just a little trim.
yeah.
Jamie will now give us a 5-minute breakdown on what exactly was said, because I think she's the only one who understood anything.
Okay. There. I got nothing. I don't even
Brian,
have
you make
anything
me feel-
funny.
you-
I couldn't even think of anything.
Brian
I was
makes me
so,
feel good because he's just like, I don't understand this, and I am a Scientologist.
I really think that's what he's doing, though. He's just anything
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense, he's able to explain away, right? Like these numbers wouldn't make sense originally, but if we pretend like her tire slipped and all that snow, then we can deduce these numbers out of it and make it work. It seems like chaff and
And
redirect.
it's all these approximate absolutes. Again, this is the language we all agreed on. You're an expert. I need you to understand that approximate, exact approximates are an oxymoron, and sir, you are one too.
Well, he did believe,
True.
and if I learned anything from doing my exams, it was I prayed to God a lot to make me get through it because let's just say that needed a heavy lifting because science didn't do it. Thank you, Wicked Psych, for being here for 19 months. That's wonderful.
impressive. Yeah.
And
I will
yeah,
say
that's
there
why
was
get to bed.
Aw. There was a 3-point turn and something happened 8 minutes after. That's
Yeah.
all I know.
Yeah, where she went forward 34 feet and then went backwards 50 feet and totally moved 80 feet. But the tech stream stops while her pedal is at 75%, going 24.3 miles per hour. It would have gone faster after that, but she still doesn't hit the Jeep parked right behind her. I really, really hope that they're going to show that video where that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, they said this event ends at 12:31 something, right? Doesn't she connects within 3 minutes to John's Wi-Fi? How is that possible?
No, 12:36. She connects at 12:36.
My bad.
But still,
Still less
it's
time than the drive.
In the best of all times, it's a 6-minute drive that she does in 4 minutes.
Question for you guys. What was the time that they said this incident happened last trial? Because I know there's been a
12:45.
12:45.
12:45.
Well,
And then he
so I
changed
guess
that
my question now
mid-trial.
as a person is, how did they disprove that whatever trigger event happened at 12:45 that they were looking at isn't actually the event? How did they, differentially diagnose and take that 12:45 trigger event or whatever happened that made him think that was the impact? How did they disprove that now and go with the whatever number we've got now, which is
There was
escaping
a
me?
triggering event at 12:45 though, right? Because she shut her car off at 12:42. Wasn't it based off of Jen and her what she said?
The first trial was based on when Jen said she saw the car leave, because Jen said she saw the car leave at 12:45 when she texted John.
Okay.
Then they came to did you know she connected to the Wi-Fi? And then Lally said she did it at 12:30.
Okay.
Trust me, bro. Now it's 12:32:58 or something like that. I can't remember the last decimals. And then 12:30. No, I can't remember because Burgess changed the time zone again. But still,
12:31. I think
he gets hit by a car, gets flung through the air, lands, hit his head, gets incapacitated. Not totally. He could still be shaking to scare away animals. Then he takes up his phone and says, I don't want to reply to Jen. Closes his phone, puts it under his body, and just stays there for the rest of the night. While his battery doesn't really lose that much temperature, which would lose temperature faster than his body because it's on the wet ground. It all makes sense the less you think about it.
Doesn't he walk like 80 feet?
Oh yeah, he also takes 32 steps.
Yeah,
after being
and
drunk,
then goes back and lays on top of his phone. Apparently,
he's just running around in circles. Yes.
What the hell is happening, you guys?
Well, what's happening is we are going to do half an hour for lunch, and then we're going to come back, and then some of us will have a hematoma.
Absolutely.
If I mix vodka with energy or with Monster, will that make me understand this? Just asking for a friend who.
Yeah, but you will have a good time.
Let's try it.
Yeah, go for it.
My husband. That's what my husband. It's not Friday. Breaker has a rule.
That's his rule. That ain't got shit to do with us.
Yeah, that's for him.
Yeah, but I've already
day
said
drink if I want to day
words
drink, my
without
God.
being drunk. So I don't feel like I can trust myself to not curse it up when I'm drunk.
Has it stopped any of us? Let's be real.
Well, I know, but
Let's
it will
be
really not stop me.
Les goes down for day drinking.
Well, does a bear poop in the woods?
Exactly.
It would be like saying, "Hey, T-Rex, do you want to go pick up a lot lizard?" That's not even a question.
Could you pick up a lot lizard to talk to them about their lives? Like, I just have so many questions. Like,
I feel like me and Mo would do that on a road.
Do you negotiate prices? Do you have like a pamphlet? Like,
I think it's
Are there
hourly
some-
rates unless you want to do some freaky stuff.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
what's
like-
the freakiest thing you ever did or didn't do?
Did they draw
Like,
the
what's the
line
one thing you
somewhere?
said no to?
That's not a question I would ever want to ask a lot lizard.
Oh no, I want to know all the things.
Why not?
On that note, see you in half an hour.
Yes, I did examine his lower extremities. That is protocol in any case of suspected impact with a motor vehicle. So I did examine his legs and I did not see any evidence of an impact site.
Just pin it on the girl, right?